Just so everyone that's present is aware, we are recording tonight's proceedings. We also have a court reporter who is going to take transcripts of what is said, so that you're aware you are being recorded.
I did not know this on board though. Oh, so that's thank you because it's oh, I submitted the absolute appeal and I'm hearing the question. He's home now. I just didn't know how, you know, mentally competent he was. I was more
fair enough. No, that's fair enough. And when I filed the hearing request, I obviously submitted this to the trouble is he's disabled, but he's working.
Yeah, that's what I heard that afterwards.
It's awful.
It's awful. The whole room up there, we got set up.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
It's relentless. It's relentless.
You guys,
We're about to do that. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. And I'd like to call this special meeting to order. This is a public hearing. Notice is hereby given upon the petition of the Commons Foundation representing 209 Long Highway LLC, contract purchaser of the subject property located at 209 Long Highway, Little Compton, Rhode Island, tax assessors plat 27, lot 23-1, requesting a comprehensive permit for a 4-lot minor subdivision incorporating 1 2-bedroom affordable unit and 3 3-bedroom units. The applicant seeks relief from the provisions of the zoning ordinance and the land development and subdivision regulations pursuant to the comprehensive permit process of the 4 units. 1 unit, 25% will be designated affordable according to the state definition of low moderate income housing. Requested adjustments, waivers, including the following allowances for 4 single family dwellings on 2.4 acres of developable land incorporating the following dimensions pursuant to section 14-4.1 of the Little Compton ordinance. So I believe the applicant is going to present this to us, and please proceed.
Thank you. I don't know where, I think maybe if I'm over here, where the materials are, and is this, I just like move this off a little bit, so we have a little bit of room here to here. Just okay. Okay, move to that. Okay. Oh, I don't have to go with anything. For the record, my name is Andrew Teitz, T as in Thomas, EITZ. I'm an attorney with offices in 2 William Street in Providence, Rhode Island. And I'm here tonight, as you noted, representing the Commons Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3 charitable foundation. And I think most of you know something about them, and you'll be hearing more about them soon. We are here tonight presenting our preliminary plan application for a comprehensive permit for what we're calling the Schoolhouse 5 project. The proposal is to develop a 4-lot subdivision, but please note only 3 of the units are new. 1 is existing. The schoolhouse is already a legal residential unit, and so there will be 3 new ones for a total of 4. It'll create 4 owner-occupied lots, 1 of which will be affordable housing, as you've heard, meeting the state definition of low and moderate income housing, and thus qualifying for this comprehensive permits. The comprehensive permit statute, as you know, does require that at least 25% be low or moderate income housing, and so 1 out of 4. So we do qualify for that. And as you have also learned over the past several months dealing with your first comprehensive permits with us and Church Community Housing Corp., the law creates one-stop shopping. You're it. The planning board is our basic one-stop. We've been here before you with the pre-application, so therefore master plan was not required. We're here preliminary approval, and you hear the whole application and grant any relief from requirements of the zoning ordinance or subdivision regulations. And under the statute, because it's a comprehensive permit, those are called adjustments. And in fact, that's set forth in the application, and you went so far as to set forth several of them on your meeting agenda as well. So when we were here before for pre-application, things were a little bit preliminary. I'd like to say I or we to include me, but it's not me, it's them. These volunteers and the professional staff that I hired, including Bill Smith there, have been working very hard over the past several months to get all the materials, do all the things, submit it, file things that need to be filed with DEM and with DOT. And they've done all that so that we were able to have everything complete so that you've got the application basically with everything in front of you. Will you have questions tonight? I'm sure you'll probably will. We have provided everything, and we will have the people here to answer your questions. I just want to note again, for the benefit, some people, the board probably remembers this, but some people out there may not, that the law provides for a density bonus. So your 2-acre zoning doesn't apply. And in fact, when we do the calculations, we are actually far below what we could have in the number of units. This land would support a total of 8 units if we, according to the state law. We are at half of that. We're at 4 units. So we have tried to do something that we think it ticks the box that we need to tick for the state and the comprehensive permit. But more importantly, it provides what this town needs, which are these affordable and attainable housing so that the people, your children, your parents can continue to live in this town. And we're not doing it by building a huge townhouse complex or a big building, a multi-story building with lots of units. It's just 4 small houses, one of which is existing and is actually one of your historic schoolhouses that will be restored as part of this process. And that's probably actually even more expensive restoring it than if it were knocked down and just replaced with a new building. But that's because we want to meet the needs of the community. The people here, the members of the foundation, are members of Little Compton's community as well. And we want something that fits in there. So this is a very small thing. We're restoring that schoolhouse as one of the units and having 3 small units in an area that's essentially already a cleared field as well. We're not cutting down a virgin forest or an old growth forest or anything like that. It's all developed land in the past. It was farming, it was a schoolhouse area, and we're using that. So I think when you look at all that, you'll find out legally, you're going to be required to approve this by the law. But personally, we think you're going to want to approve this because this is just the sort of thing that fits into Little Compton. And this is the way to provide housing for your children so they can stay here in the town. Is this going to provide everything? I mean, that's the other thing. No, it's only 3 units, but it's a start. And so we look forward to answering your questions tonight, showing you what's going on, and hopefully receiving your approval at the end. We're going to have a couple of witnesses here. Jim Locke, the president of the Commons Foundation, will be testifying. Then Bill Smith, the engineer. Jim Piat, the architect, will be also testifying. And then Doug McLean, who is a professional planner, will be testifying. So with that, I would like to call Dr. Locke to tell you more about the Commons Foundation and this project from that point.
Get you to spell your last name.
LOCK. So I will be brief.
In your first name.
James. The Commons Foundation began 3 years ago with the primary goal of creating attainable and moderate income affordable houses for young families in Little Compton. We obtained 501c3 tax exempt status 18 months ago. We take no state or federal grant money and have now raised over $3.7 million in donation and pledges from local Little Compton residents. The 2.4 acre property in question, 209 Long Highway, was the subject to a purchase and sale agreement 8 months ago when we began this term. The final closure on that sale occurred 2.5 months ago. As has been mentioned, we intend to use the state's comprehensive permit plan for these homes. Although this process allows 3 homes per acre, we will be creating 4 homes on the 2.4 acre site, which gives approximately 0.6 of an acre per house, which is actually about the average size grandfathered lot in the town of Little Compton. The maximum sale price for this affordable house will be $500,000. By state law, the other 3 3-bedroom homes may be sold at market rates. In order to qualify for this comprehensive permit process, we applied to the Rhode Island Housing Authority for a letter of eligibility, and we received that letter of eligibility 3 months ago, which means that Rhode Island Housing has approved this plan. Unlike all other developments in Rhode Island using this comprehensive permit process, our 3 market rate homes, quote unquote, will not be market rate homes. They will be attainable homes using the attainable guidelines of the Commons Foundation established specifically for this purpose. The maximum house price for these 3 homes will be approximately $625,000. The family income for the affordable house will be 140, a maximum of 140% of the area median income. And for the attainable houses, it will be 140% for the attainable houses.
120 for the affordable.
And 120 for seeking our approval for the preliminary plan. We completed all of the Little Compton checklist houses for both the minor subdivision and a comprehensive permit on June 12th of this year, when the application was certified as complete. Bill Smith has been our engineer for the last several months, but I'd be happy to answer any questions about what I've already talked about at this time. Any questions?
the board going to ask questions? Or are you going to let the audience only?
Well, during the public hearing,
Yeah, so.
we're primarily focused on the
Yeah.
public and then
Yeah, I mean, we're here, it's just, if you have a question now, but this is not speak now or forever hold your peace. You don't have to do it. We do anticipate you'll hear from the public. We will not necessarily, we won't answer each question. If one member comes up and has a question, another, that would take us all night back and forth. But members of the audience get up and ask questions, and we will make note of it so that we can come back and answer their questions. And of course, anytime any members of the board have questions, we're here. We're here for the night. So at this point, I would ask Mr. Bill Smith.
Bill Smith from Civil Engineering Concepts, 34A Main Street, Little Compton.
And Mr. Smith has appeared numerous times before this and other boards in the town. I would ask that he be accepted as an expert in engineering. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Let the record reflect that the chairman has indicated yes. Bill, could you kind of take us through the layout of the site plan and so forth?
Which do you want to start with?
Oh, how about the third draw, I believe? That'll work, and I'll probably switch back to the fourth one in a moment. It's located on Long Highway. Being Long Highway being running north-south. Property is located to the west of that. The existing schoolhouse turned dwelling is located here. The intersection with Long Highway and Colbrook Road is up the north of this, just to get everybody oriented to where we're at. What we're proposing to do is to provide a private driveway, roadway that's kind of a T shape for turnaround purposes to support the 4 lots. And we'll have 3 additional houses on those 4 lots as given that the existing dwelling is being renovated. The site will be serviced by septic systems. There's an existing fairly recent septic system that we've inspected and tested, and it's functioning properly to serve the existing dwelling. And there'll be a new septic system for lot number 2 and a shared septic system for lots 3 and 4. The site will also be served by private wells. There's an existing well up here that serves the dwelling, and we do have enough room on the property to keep our 100 feet away from septic systems and wells in order to make that all work. We've gone to DEM, we've done soil testing, they've witnessed the soil testing, satisfactory, actually fairly good for Little Compton standard soil test results. We've applied to DOT for a curb cut since this part of Long Highway is a state road. What we're proposing, Julie, could I go to the next page, please? What we're proposing is a little bit of grading in this area. This is almost the crest of the hill. And we're moving the roadway slightly to the north of where the existing driveway is to improve the site distance. It's a pretty tough approach going on to Long Highway now. This will give us much better site distance back almost to the intersection here and quite a ways to the south as well. So we thought that moving the driveway a little bit was going to enhance the safety of the project. We've got.
Has DOT approved the relocation of the curb cut?
We have applied to DOT, but we have not gotten their approval yet. So that
Well, I guess while we're on that subject, have you used the traffic engineer for that?
we have not.
Can I answer that question?
Surely.
I've spoken with the police chief on 3 occasions, and he will be doing a traffic study on that site in order to make sure that this is an adequate solution. And in addition to that, the police chief has indicated that he's going to be putting a stop sign along highway comes into the intersection of Colebrook to slow traffic down going up that hill.
So the stop sign would be in the northern section of the intersection of Colebrook and Long Highway.
There's already a stop sign where Colebrook comes in.
I know. So
There's going to be a stop sign on the town line.
he's going to request one from the state.
He doesn't have to.
All right.
The town owns that site and he's already indicated that the state road begins at Colebrook, just at Colebrook.
Okay.
Above that, that's town road.
All right.
So he doesn't need state approval.
So to answer your question about a traffic study, we have done a traffic analysis where we've taken measurements to make sure that this is actually going to work and give us adequate sight distance for the posted speed limit. And that's posted speed limit as it sits now, not after a stop sign is placed. We haven't had a traffic counts and that sort of thing. We didn't think that that was warranted, but in terms of the sight distance and the safety, we did do a review of that. Actually went out several times just to get some grades, get some elevations, plot profiles and that sort of thing to make sure that visibly it's going to work.
I'm not clear where the stop sign is going to be. Can you point that out?
It's not on this.
There's already,
Traffic
as I said, there's already one at that
Sorry.
crescent where.
I'm sorry, Mr. Freeman, can you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
Where Colebrook, that crescent where Colebrook ends, there's already a stop sign there. So where's this new stop sign going to be?
It's where it used to be.
Leave it with,
Back in the day.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember the day. Where was that?
On Long Highway.
When you're on
Sorry, I didn't
Down
know.
Long Highway?
Yes, might be too.
Must be slow. Yeah, the stenographer can't get that. Maybe
So-
Bill, could you just
so
summarize?
the way I
comments from
understand
the
it, it
ordinance?
would be for the Long Highway heading south at that intersection. So there'll be two stop signs at the Colebrook Long Highway intersection so that traffic coming this way will be forced to slow down and it'll ease the confusion at that intersection.
So
Just for the record, when you say this way, you're talking about south. Traffic
South,
coming
excuse me,
south. Yeah.
traffic flowing south, correct.
Do you want to finish your presentation and then, because I know there are additional questions on this subject of the road and the interface and the private road going in and out. And I just have a feeling that if we dive into that right now, we'll never move off it.
I'll try to go through it quickly and then
We'll come
questions.
back, yes.
So we did talk about the regrading of this area just to the northeast of the existing dwelling. But right now, there's a paved driveway that comes in with a T-type turnaround here. That pavement is going to be removed with the exception of a paved apron and the extension, the proposed driveway will be pervious gravel so that we're going to reduce the stormwater coming off of the site. Again, with the exception of the paved apron right at Long Highway, that's to keep the stones and gravel and stuff from being out in the flow of traffic and causing issues. Again, septic systems, wells, we are proposing to provide stormwater infiltration systems for the new roof areas in conformance with the DEM standards so that we're not, again, cautious about trying to make sure we maintain the pre-development stormwater runoff from the site and not increase water going out onto Long Highway or onto any of the neighbors. That's about the extent of it in a nutshell.
Yep. So questions, if you want to get back to the.
Okay, well, let's go back to the road. Where the property faces the eastern border there on Long Highway. So if you go all the way to the north, Bill, the northern corner, northeast, is that where there's currently a survey stake that you see? The land says abound, but when you drive by, there's a survey stake, I believe, right on that corner there.
I believe we did mark that. I think the neighbor to the north, Miss Mosier, had asked us to she wasn't sure where the line was. So my surveyor put an approximate stake there.
My question really is then, because as you're driving south, the bank there has a lot of vegetation that is east of where the property line is. So I'm wondering, are you going to?
Gonna remove all of that vegetation. There's some forsythia there's a large group of that over in this corner. There was a large tree over in this area, both areas being north of the house.
I'm not that far. I'm just where the telephone pole is,
Yes,
that north and south of that is buried in vegetation. So that, to me, you can't, that's one of the obstacles of visibility
right.
when you head south.
We are calling out that all be removed so that it maintains a good sight distance, as well as regrading of that bank. There's a slight ridge through that bank that affects the 30 inches above ground that we use for measuring the sight distance. So that's why we're cutting that back a little bit.
The actual head of slope down to the toe of slope there also is in my view is suspect when you come around that curve and you start going south. It's not just the vegetation, it's the slope there as well. It sticks out past, you're showing a straight line there. It's not quite a straight line. There's a belly that sticks out into the of earth.
Right.
That sticks out into your view.
If you look at the plan, north and east of the dwelling, we do show this whole area of regrading
Yes.
so that we cut that slope back so that you do have the sight
So you're
distance.
planning on bringing that slope back a little bit at the head of slope.
That's correct.
I also have this is for Dr. Locke, I guess. Why 4 houses? I know, and believe me, I commend your whole group for what they're doing. But, and this gentleman has said, our actual houses, our existing lots in the town are X. We know that. We zoned to get away from that because of the problems that were involved in small lots. And it seems to me like we're hurrying to get back to it with something like this. And I worry that when we do this, we're not planning for the inevitable. And the inevitable is well failure, septic system failure. And I know I've had a well failure in my yard. And 3 or 4 houses in my area have had them. I know I've talked to people along Long Highway. Mr. Pino and I had a discussion this morning about where the water table was along Long Highway for years. He grew up here, I didn't. And we're going to suffer with diminishing water supply. And I worry about that a great deal. Like I said, I really commend you for what you're trying to do here. But I say, why 4 houses? Why not 2 or 3? I know you could put 6, but that would probably be 6 units in a building. Because to try to put 6 houses on this lot with the wells and everything would be difficult.
We could put 8 legally.
Or 8.
We can't put more than 4. We can't put more than 4 because of the requirements that Bill already talked about, the distance between the wells and septic.
Yes, I know, but
So I'll explain why we're going to put, and I'll try to answer both of your questions.
I would like for you to.
The reason that we're putting 4 houses in is very simple, and that is that Commons Foundation is going to wind up donating about $400,000 of donated money to this project. And in order for us to keep our loss at $400,000, which is about $100,000 a house, we need to have 3 houses that are attainable, as well as the 1 house that's market rate. If we dropped it to 3 houses, then the loss, the requirements to supplement those houses goes up significantly. which then reduces the number of other houses that we can spend money on or interest-free loans that we can give people. So that's basically, we're going to wind up spending $2.7 million for these 4 homes, but we're only going to return $2.3 million when we sell them at affordable and attainable rates. Now, I have to tell you, Sal, I've been pretty worried about the well situation also. And as Bob knows, the last time we talked about the attainable ordinance, we spent some time. In fact, Ed's in the audience. Ed Bowen and I spent quite a lot of time looking up 275 wells that are in the state registry for that the well diggers dig. And then I looked at the 10 wells closest to the property. And there's only one well that I could find in that area that is actually borderline. It's actually, from a well production standpoint, that's actually a pretty good part of town. And the one well, my best understanding, that produces badly was drilled and not fracked. And it didn't go very far. So that's the best I can do in order to try to protect the best we can do is to look up as much information as we could. And that's what we did.
Jim, while you're standing here and we're kind of off topic a little bit, right? You mentioned something that people may not be aware of. The Commons Foundation is also involved in a loan program, providing loans to people to help with down payments or to help with renovating properties. Just tell them a little bit about that too.
Actually, no, Joe Asrak is in the audience, and
Okay.
he's actually, he had no idea he was going to have to speak tonight, but I don't really care. Joe is the chairman of the loan committee.
Good evening. Thank you, Jim.
Would you spell your name for the stenographer, please?
First name Joseph, last name Azrak, Azrack. So our loan program is designed to help people who have homes that need substantial renovation or repair in order to stay in their homes. Also to help people who do not have sufficient equity when coupled with first mortgage debt to be able to acquire a property. So gap financing, if you will. And generally our loan program, the loans are in the range of $50,000 to $100,000 per project. We also have a grant program where we make grants of up to $20,000 per project. If you, for example, woke up tomorrow and found out that your septic no longer worked and it needed to be replaced and you didn't have the money to do that, you might give us a call and we could very quickly make a grant available to you. Or if a tree fell on your roof, and again, insurance for whatever reason didn't cover it. And obviously to stay in the house, you would have to do that. You can call us, and those are the types of things, just to give you an example. So we have committed so far a little under $500,000 in loans and grants. We have a similar amount of money in the commitment stage. And so the first one is deals that have been done and partially or fully funded. The second one is where we make a commitment to someone, and then we have to go through the diligence and the documentation, make sure they qualify under the attainable income limits and understand the project and, get the construction bids and all of that. I think it's fair to say that we have a broad mix of people who either live in Little Compton or have lived in Little Compton and would like to live here again. As applicants for our programs. We have done everything from help a family build a bedroom suite in what was a dining room for 2 parents, one of whom is ailing quite severely, so that they can move into the home and live with their kids who can take care of them because they can no longer stay in the rental property that they have in Bristol, for example. We have several applicants who have land and that's been in the family for generations and sufficient land that will permit them to build an auxiliary dwelling unit so the next generation can move into Little Compton and live on the same family property as their parents have. So it's a pretty long mix of different households and families and different types of projects. And we have either funded or committed to about 10 of those so far. We have a pipeline, probably another 10 to 20 that we'll be looking forward to doing, similar to what I've described to you over the next year into 2027. So that's the loan program.
Thank you.
How are the applicants chosen? You have applicants, is it a lottery system that, or how?
No, for the loan
Attain-
program, the applicants come in and if they meet the income requirements and the project is feasible financially, everything checks out, then it goes to, we make a recommendation to our board and they review it. And, you know, so far we haven't had to go through a lottery process because we have enough funds to fund the applications that we have. And
I mean, for these homes.
so for these.
That's 3 homes that the balance, one
Turn
being,
that back to the other expert here.
Thank you.
So what I said before is that we have
Nobody can hear you.
we have developed a selection process for the attainable and affordable homes. This is an internal selection process just for these homes. The affordable homes, a single affordable home follows the state law. Okay, and we don't really have a choice as to what that looks like. For the 3 attainable homes, we've created a process where we will market the homes widely. We use fair housing principles also and objective criteria, obviously, like financial eligibility. And anybody who is interested in living in it can apply. Then we will ask for, and I'm going to pass this out because I was pretty sure somebody would ask about this. So this is the,
Yeah, Jim, over there first, okay? So we can mark that as an exhibit.
Need that.
and I think I have enough for everybody. So that's an outline of the selection process for the attainable houses. Once a person has managed to have get through the original criteria, mostly related to income, the income will be limited to 140% of income. Ability to purchase the house. Then we ask for a written description of how it and why it is that they will be helping us meet our social and community goals here. And everybody who does that goes into a lottery.
So just for the record, can we have this document labeled selection for TCF's attainable and affordable homes marked as an exhibit, and it's going to be exhibit 1 or exhibit A? 1, exhibit 1. Okay, thanks. Okay, now, I guess back to Bill Smith. Any more questions of him? If not,
You have one shared septic, is that right?
That's correct.
And that all the septic systems are being under approval or whatever at DM
We are going through
DM at the moment.
approval process now, the subdivision site suitability.
And there's an existing well with the existing house
That's correct.
and the rest,
The northeast corner of the property.
and the rest are to be drilled in the future.
That's correct.
I notice on that floor, Mr. Chairman, there's a proposed well easement in the southern extreme. What is that?
So, yep, that's the well for lot number 2 will actually be on lot 3 within an easement for that maintenance and use of that well.
Will 3 have its own?
Three will have its own. Three is in the south
Oh, I see.
west corner of.
So that'll be another easement that we need.
That's not an easement because that.
Oh, no, I'm saying the easement on 3 for the benefit of 2.
That's correct. That's correct.
I've been in construction since 1970.
Okay.
The right of way is 30 feet. And did you pick 30 feet as opposed to 40 feet? Because of the amount of land that you have? I mean, the regulations call for 40 feet.
Well, we did pick 30 because it tied up less land with 30-foot right of way versus a 40-foot right of way. We were able to put our 20-foot road within that. And from a functioning standpoint, it will function the way that a road within a 40-foot right of way would.
Okay, but I mean, we need to approve that as a waiver from
As
the
an adjustment.
regulations.
Well, I mean, the other option is that we go with 40 feet, but then the units are closer to the roadway. That seemed like that was a.
Well, they're really they're closer to the travel way is, the 20-foot travel way is, I'm guessing, in the middle. So, and so it's just the shoulder that, and really it's the property line as to where it is and where it isn't. And if you ever needed that space for whatever reasons, I was just.
Another question, Mike, when you're on that right of way, the slope of the right of way from center line of Long Highway to the toe of slope on the edge of the driveway, what's the difference in elevation?
Julie, could you go to the 5th page, please? Oh, I'm sorry, the last, go back to the stuff here. So here's,
The right one?
no, if we go back to number 4, please.
I see that here.
There's a profile there, so we've got a 5% grade for the proposed grade with a 1% at the street. So for leveling course or for control before you get out into the line of traffic.
Do you see a reason for a linear drain or something of that nature across that driveway so that, because that's a lot of hill behind it. I'm worried about water coming out on.
What we've done, I don't see the need for that. Based on what's happening there now, I've not observed any torrential runoff conditions during heavy rains coming out of there. We're going to actually reduce the impervious surface for the driveway that's there. It's going to be replaced with a pervious gravel surface. The houses are going to have their own infiltration system. So at the end of the day, we'll have less water coming off of that property than currently exists.
You'll have the fire and police weighed in on the 30-foot width as opposed to 40-foot width?
Yes.
And what I presented this plan both to the fire chief and to the police chief on the width of the driveway. Showed them the plan. In fact, they both have the plan.
The width meets your current road standard in terms of 20 feet, not the right of way, but the width. But we do have turnouts for firefighting purposes, and instead of having a cul-de-sac at the end, we've actually created a T-type turnaround so that there was a fire, then one tank truck could stage while the other one is fighting the fire, and they could go by each other and still continue to function.
Is this whole plan going to have a homeowners association for the 4 houses?
Yes. Well, it's part of you have to ask for relief. I mean, it's part of the regulation.
The plan is that there will be a cross easement for all four of the homes dealing with the driveway. And where it provides that they are having to split the costs. I'll be drafting this, and the usual thing provides for, it's similar in effect to a homeowners and association where you have an annual meeting, usually in the fall before snowplow season. People get together, you've got your costs, what is the dues and the cost going to be this year for maintaining the road. And it will also include something in the budget. It will specifically note that they'll have to keep clearing, they may have to clear vegetation in the future that grows up alongside the long highway part of it. That would be part of it. But that is the intent, to have all four homes responsible jointly for it. Four is such a small group, it doesn't seem like it's worth it to have a whole homeowners association.
My worry is that one of the homes is low income.
No, all of them. They're all, first of all, yeah, they're all what's called low and moderate income. And the guideline for the state for the affordable low and moderate income is 120% of the mean thing. And the other houses are attainable. And the limit there is 140%. And you've already heard about how they're going to be subsidized. So there's not going to be a significant difference in the family wealth of the four different homeowners there.
Right.
And there'll be restrictions on the sale prices as well, so that it's not something that someone can sell and make a windfall on. That's part of the requirements, that there be these, particularly with the state one, that there be that. And the Commons Foundation will have some themselves. So there's not going to be a big difference in wealth between these. You're not going to have one really poor person and three other people there. We're all, the whole housing for this, the whole idea of what we're trying to do here in Little Compton is provide housing for those people who wouldn't need help somewhere other than Little Compton. They've got jobs. They're your teachers, policemen, whatever. These are people that are working Providence. They've got good paying jobs. But when you've got, a price of $750,000 for a 2-acre buildable lot, they just can't afford it. They could easily afford a house in Pawtucket or even Bristol, something like that. They can't afford it here. The goal is to provide a way for those people to do it. It's not going to be, someone who's unemployed, and that's just not going to happen here because they're not going to meet the requirements. They're going to need some income to be able to do it.
How does a cross easement resolve disputes among the homeowners? So, if there's a HOA, there's a way to resolve.
No, there isn't. Take it from me. The HOA dispute, if HOA owners dispute it, it is the same thing. In the end, people have to go to court if they can't get along. I put a mediation clause in my easements and in my HOA homeowners association covenants for both of them. Put mediation. But as a town solicitor in several towns around the state, I just did a letter at 4:00 today where a couple of homeowners are fighting over each other because one's draining in and the other one says you're using the open space and whatnot, and they both want the town to intervene. And my answer was, no, this is a private dispute. In the end, if people can't get along, neither one of those mechanisms helps. What does help is at least a requirement they have to go to mediation first. But if they don't get an answer out of mediation, then they will in the end have to sue each other. And there's just no other solution to that.
Thank you.
I want to continue this point just a little bit longer. In your proposal, how will title to the underlying easement property be held?
The title will be in fee simple to each of the four parcels,
So will it be,
but subject to various easements.
so they will be tenants in common as to the driveway?
No,
Who's going to own it?
the driveway is not on a separate lot, right? It's
So let me just interject here. We have a regulation, to either we get relief from, but the regulation states that the street shall be a separate lot platted not for development. Dated to the homeowners association.
We can do that if you
I'm
want.
just saying.
Okay, I mean, we can do that if you want. I mean, as you know, Little Compton is chock-a-block with all these rights of way and easements and
But there's
most of them.
regulation, so
But I understand that, but that if we were regulation, but we're not, that's why we're here. So we would, I don't want to make a big deal of that. If you want to have us to have a homeowners association, it doesn't really make much difference whether I draft. It's going to mostly contain the same stuff, whether it's a cross easement or a homeowners association.
The most important difference is that it will be a separate lot.
Right.
And so that you're not going to have multiple owners. It's going to be an entity. I assume that you're going to create a something. It's not going to be a general partnership. It's going to be.
It's going to be an unincorporated association as the homeowners association, because otherwise then you start having to have, then what you have, if you make it a corporation, it doesn't get filed and they go defunct.
We'll have to have a look at what you produce. I have doubts about that, but we'll have a look. Are you planning on giving the homeowners association enforcement rights? So if someone doesn't pay, the association has the right to enforce that obligation?
No. Because the law does not provide for homeowners associations to have these kind of enforcement rights that a condo association does have.
Don't know that I agree with that.
well, one of the properties needs a monitor, correct, Mike?
Right. The affordable unit, the low and moderate income house will have a monitor involved, yes.
So
And by the way, the attainable houses will also,
also,
because
so-
all of the attainable houses will have a 30-year deed restriction.
so that could be in that. That agreement could be in that plan that the association that you develop, as well as for the monitor.
Yes.
The attainable homes aren't really actually following the program that we developed for attainable homes. You're doing the income, but not the 99 years, the 30 years, not the 2 gallons per minute, which, I mean, you have every right to do because you can make a market, but
That's correct.
so you're just calling, whether you call them attainable doesn't really make a difference, I guess. You can sell them for whatever you want to sell them for.
We could, but we have committed not to,
Right.
in writing. And
If I get back to
in fact, I have that sheet if you want it also.
Yes, we don't have to.
So the police chief putting a stop sign there. That's great. Probably should have happened a long time ago. It's difficult to make the turn anyway. What's the methodology that he's going to use for his traffic study? What's the methodology he's going to use for his traffic study? You said he was going to do his own traffic study?
What he's going to do is he's going to put, it turns out. Do I have to move?
No.
He's waiting for someone behind you.
Like the solicitor just arrived.
We didn't have enough words.
So what Scott said is that the, you know, those two-wheel things that tell you to slow down? Yeah. Turns out that those are a very effective traffic monitor as well. And they measure speed and they measure acceleration and they measure traffic. So he's going to put one of those signs, once this is approved, at somewhere in that long highway, the Holbrook Road area. And he's going to determine the number of people who are traveling 30 or 40 or 50 miles an hour. And he's going to determine what the actual rate of usage is. And he's going to use that as in his study in order to document that the stop sign is going to be useful. But he told me the same thing that I've heard from others, and that this should have been done a long time ago. And he doesn't think a study is necessary, but he's going to do it anyway.
I sat in the driveway a couple of times over the past couple of weeks looking you know, in my truck, not in a sedan or anything. And I had to get my car out to the nose of the fog line to see, because it goes down and away. It curves around and goes down. And you can't really see all that great coming up. The two things I'm concerned about is you know, people are going to be coming down a 5% grade, kind of stopping there, and then have to go out and left across traffic. And I think there's something called, you know, decision-making time that's in a traffic study, and as well as people who are heading south, and then turning in and looking at a grade. People tend to slow down so they don't hit their bumpers, or so coming up over the hill, you have somebody hesitating, not going as fast as they might because they see a grade coming up. That's kind of why I think there needs to be a proper traffic study. I think it's safety.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. My view is that,
I like that.
I understand. My view is that if the chief engineer at the Department of Transportation and the police chief and the fire chief and Bill Smith say that this is the best information that we have and this is what we should do, then I'm prepared to accept it.
I think it's the best barring doing a study, right? I mean, I think it's the best barring.
I don't know what else we could do at this site, even if we had a study,
Well,
other than to cut down on the things that Bill has already said. But anyhow,
Yeah, that's,
Bob said that the site distance requirements that are published by the federal government do take into account the braking time, reaction time, all of those factors that come into you making a decision. Do I pull out? Do I not pull out? Can I accelerate quickly enough? You know, that sort of thing. And this plan with the regrading that we're doing here gives that time, that distance, in order to be a safe, acceptable intersection. I can put together a traffic analysis for you that documents all of that, if that's something that.
I mean, my experience going in and out of that driveway currently in a truck is
That's not good.
it's not good. And you know, attorney here, you know, was talking about, oh, we put together our HOA, then people ignore it anyway. People clearly ignore the speed anyway. I don't think we have real data. And, you know, I think people slow down when they see that flashing sign anyway, right? So I think it's more of a radar gun is the way people typically do those speed data collections. So it's not a big sign, you know, that gets everybody's attention to get the real data.
I just want to point out, I mean, the DOT physical alteration permit is not a rubber stamp. As someone who's been on the waiting end of them and on the request for more information several times from DOT, their engineers do look at it and do request the information. And yes, you're right. They go on the 75th percentile speed, not what the speed limit is, but what the people are there. And so if they need that data and so forth, they will be requiring it. I won't even say requesting, they'll be requiring it from us. So I think between the police and the fire chief who've looked at it, and if you think about it too with the DOT is looking at the worst case. The DOT is looking at it as is now, no stop sign. They're not looking at it with a future stop sign. So if the DOT approves it, it will only get better if there's a stop sign.
Is this before the DOT now?
Yes.
Is there a comment period?
The DOT,
They've accepted the application. We're waiting for them to get back to us
Okay,
with
with that
comments.
information? Contact?
I will send you the applicant number, okay?
Yep.
I'll make sure you get the application number.
I'd appreciate that because that's
No.
a big concern.
Here as well.
Really my biggest concern.
It's one of
the
mine,
whole
too.
thing.
can we revisit the driveway question? Because I had a chance to look at the plan here and I want to note that I was wrong. And in fact, the driveway, which is labeled 30-foot wide common driveway easement, is in fact a separate parcel. none of the lot boundary on either side of it or on all of the sides of it. So it is a separate parcel. So we will leave it that way, and we will create a homeowners association to be the owner of that driveway, as well as have the
And
maintenance.
you can make it a nonprofit, you can be exempt, so you're not filing tax returns, you can file post I-90 postcards every year, so you're not burdened with lots of annual obligations.
We will create, I wish I had as much confidence as you do in the long run of that, but we will create it as a nonprofit corporation.
And I believe we can offline talk about enforceability so that the people who live there, who are stakeholders and making sure they all pull their own weight, have the authority to make that happen.
And obviously also your esteemed town solicitor, who's here with us now, will be reviewing these documents as part of final approval.
Agreed.
So anything else from Bill? Or should we go on to the houses themselves?
I have a quick question, if I may.
Can I just get your name for the
Sir,
record?
can we put on our case before we start dealing with the public comments and questions? Just like to at least get through with that part of it, if we could. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, I'm James Pyatt, Piatt, architect. My corporate headquarters is in Somerville, Massachusetts, but I live at 33 Amesbury Lane. And I work out of there 98% of the time.
Okay. Before you start, can I just introduce as an exhibit his credentials? I guess this will be exhibit 2.
Yeah.
You have. I think you've seen these before, and I think you accepted him as an expert in connection with Mr. Aldrich's property previously. So I would just confirm that you're still accepting him as an expert here tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this may be a little briefer than the last presentation. Were you able to distribute the?
I haven't distributed, but I can. I didn't know which way you wanted to do with the new house or the schoolhouse first. I'll distribute the schoolhouse as we can have this as exhibit 3.
It hang me in the back.
Better than the alternative.
My God, I'm afraid to sell it, huh? All right. See if I can.
Okay.
So I'll start with the existing buildings. It's been called the schoolhouse. It was historically a schoolhouse. It was added on in the early part of the last century to make it a 2-bedroom house. And basically, we're restoring it as the house that it's always been. 2-bedroom house. The exterior is going to be restored, same kind of finishes, stucco. We're going to some expense to replace the existing doors, including the archway. Inside, it'll have brand new mechanical systems, but it'll probably also now have air conditioning, which it didn't have originally. Anything structurally that needs to be replaced or repaired is being done. We've already done exploratory construction surgery to see where the broken places are and what needs to be fixed. New windows and new kitchen, and that's basically it. So the outside will look like what it looks like now, only refurbished and restored as required. This is the preliminary plan of, but it's basically consistent with what's on these drawings. The 3-bedroom house with a large open kitchen area, 1 story.
You're talking about the new houses.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about now about the 3 new houses. which are the attainable houses. About 58 feet by 26 feet overall long. And one story, as I said, materials will be consistent with what we see in Little Compton, wood construction, a combination of board and batten and natural shingles. We're intending for the houses to be extremely energy efficient. So the word net zero always depends on how somebody actually uses the house. You can always open the windows in the middle of winter and then you're not net zero. But the idea is they will have solar panels, they'll have extremely high levels of insulation and new triple glazed windows. And pretty much that's the story on those. Any questions?
Yes. Among the findings that we are required to make are deal with how the units, both the affordable unit and other units, look like an integrated development. Can you tell us whether the affordable unit will be integrated with a similar or dissimilar roof line, window pattern, materials and colors? How that one unit will look in the context of the other three new structures?
That was addressed in our letter of eligibility to Rhode Island Housing.
Let him
I'm sorry.
tell them now,
I
okay?
need to make a record here, Jim.
I understand.
So in terms of roof line, all the new houses, as well as the existing house, have a pitched roof. And we're looking at something that's fairly similar pitch. I can't tell you just off the top of my head what the pitch is on the houses, but these will be approximately 9 or 10 and 12. And this is 9 1/4 and 12. So the roof pitch will be similar. The materials on the existing house are asphalt shingles. These will be the same thing on the roof. We'll pick a color that's similar. Even though this drawing I did was designed with sort of a soft, because the Commons Foundation is intending, hopefully, to build other houses, other areas. In a woodland setting, we might have something that was colored to sort of settle in with the woods, whether that's a soft green or a gray or something like that. In this place, if Commons Foundation, and if we found that there was, when we get a little deeper into it, we have studies for this house showing it painted white, which would relate to the stucco if we really wanted to create 4 white houses. There's been some discussion that maybe it shouldn't look like just 4 houses, that they should be maybe cousins in terms of their form, but not necessarily twins in terms of their coloration. So we're still having a discussion at sort of the architectural aesthetic level of what that could be. Interested in suggestions.
My one follow-up question, Sal, if I could. In your professional opinion, would you describe this as an integrated development?
Yeah, in my professional opinion, I would say it's an integrated development, which has had a consistency of form and material and color.
Thank you. Sal?
Yeah, one of the question I have, you're moving mostly to have that school unit look restored.
Not mostly, as close as we can get.
Yeah, not be like the cousins that you're building, correct?
Correct. I mean, in terms of the general form, the scale, 1-story house,
I
gable.
mean, you got wood frame house with wood trim, and you're gonna have a stucco house with wood trim, so
That's wood trim.
an arched front door. It's totally different than the others on the street, so they're gonna be separate.
They will have.
3 may be cousins and 1 would be a brother-in-law.
I guess that would be a good way to put it. The other thing is the other 2 of the 3 are set well back from the road.
Yeah.
So in a sense, there's variety along that street already. To have the stucco house and then have, you know, as you put it, the wood trimmed house next to each other is not inconsistent with what's happening along that and in many places in Little Compton already.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
I'm now gonna call Doug McLean. Now, this report was submitted to you 14 days in advance of 3 meetings ago that didn't happen, and hopefully you all have the report, which I would like to have. I mean, it was submitted in advance, but I think we should probably have it as Exhibit 4.
We all have copies.
Everybody have copies? The report from Doug? Okay, and that has his credentials at the back of it? I'm not mistaken? Yes. Okay. So, if we could mark that as Exhibit 4, and I'm just gonna ask Doug, first of all, identify yourself for the.
Sure. Doug McLean, McLean. Do you want me to give like a 30-second background on myself?
Please.
I've been working as a professional planner in the state of Rhode Island for 20 years. I've worked for a number of municipalities, North Kingstown, South Kingstown, Cranston, Coventry, where I currently serve as the planning director. I've appeared before dozens of boards in Rhode Island as a planning expert. This is the first time in Little Compton. I've got a resume, 2-page resume at the back that just provides some of that summary.
So I would ask that he be accepted as a planning expert.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you've had a chance to study this development.
I have.
And all the plans, and you've been here tonight and heard the previous testimony and questions and answers. And you prepared a report, which is now submitted as Exhibit 4.
Yep.
Could you basically not read the whole report, but could you summarize it to the board, the main conclusions?
Sure.
3 points that you have.
So I'm actually going to cover 5 main points that are in the report, but I'm going to just highlight them here. And really, I'm going to frame them as questions. So the first is this project compatible with the surrounding neighborhood? Second, does it address an identified local housing need? Third, is this project consistent with the policies and objectives of the town's housing element, which acts as its current affordable housing plan? Fourth, is this consistent with the broader goals and policies of the comprehensive plan? And then fifth, is this project, does it meet the required findings of a low and moderate income housing project? So let's just jump right in and get started with the first point. Neighborhood compatibility. I would suggest that this is one of the most important components to consider when looking at any given land use project. From a planning perspective, the question is not simply whether the 4 homes can physically fit on the property. Excuse me. The more important question is whether the proposed development represents an appropriate form of development in this particular location. And that's taking into account the existing development pattern around it, the character of the neighborhood around it, and the physical characteristics of the site. In my opinion, the answer to this question is yes. The property is approximately 2.4 acres large, located in a residential zoning district, and is surrounded predominantly by residential uses with established homes. And in the vicinity, there's also a contractor's yard located towards the rear of the property. What I think is particularly important from a planning perspective is the fact that this is not an undeveloped parcel. This is not a greenfield parcel. The property already contains an existing structure. It's the historic Schoolhouse 5 building. That structure has been around since 1840 and was converted to residential use many decades ago. So this property and the existing roadway, driveway into the property, and there is disturbance on the site because of the historic use of the property. So this is not introducing new development into an otherwise undeveloped area of Little Compton. It's taking an existing residential property, it's expanding upon that residential use, and it's preserving the historic structure. So this is fundamentally a different planning situation from taking an untouched parcel and introducing a new development pattern. The proposal also makes efficient use of land that is already disturbed. The driveway, the existing residence, the areas of disturbance, it's really trying to ensure that it's not knocking down a lot of additional trees to do what it needs to do. This is important to recognize of what the proposal is not seeking. As you've heard tonight, through this state-enabled mechanism, a comprehensive permit, the applicant could seek up to 8 units. They're seeking 4. They're attempting a more modest approach that does meet the financial needs to make the project viable based on the philanthropic attempts of this agency to not just seek 4 units, but seek 4 units that are attainable using the resources they have. And they're not maximizing the number of units and they're not maximizing profit. They're really just trying to seek a balance of what is appropriate to make a project attainable at this site. The new homes are approximately 1,500 square feet with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. That's important because the scale of the proposed homes is consistent with the surrounding residential context. I did look at the average of homes in the area, which is approximately 1,600 square feet. So it's a little smaller, but approximately the same size of many of the homes in the surrounding area. So we're not talking about oversized homes, and we're talking about something that is intended to fit the character of the community with its style, architectural treatments, scale of the homes, and the way the site is laid out. Then there's the schoolhouse building itself, the historic structure. This project is investing money to rehabilitate that structure, to put it back into a good functional reuse, to fix the broken parts, as the architect said, for viable long-term use. And in my opinion, that's a significant planning benefit of this project. The comprehensive plan actually does it does want to see projects that bring that characteristic of utilizing existing structures and historic structure rehabilitation. In my professional opinion, this project is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. It represents small scale, appropriately designed residential development, and it is in line with many of the surrounding structures around it. Let's move on to the second point, which is, does this address a local housing need? And this is one of the most important points to consider with this type of development. It's one of the most central findings that state law asks us to look at. Does this project advance and meet the local housing need? So I think what's particularly important is that in Little Compton, affordable housing is a challenge. There's a significant gap between the average cost of a home and the ability and the incomes needed to achieve that. I have looked at the data that's available through state resources and local resources. I'm noting that there's 11 deed restricted affordable units in the town today. That's less than 1% of the town's overall housing stock. The state's goal and the purpose of this Low and Moderate Housing Income Act is it's seeking every town to achieve 10%. So there's a gap between where we're at and where the state would like us to be. And this becomes more apparent when we look at the housing data. The median household income in the town is relatively high compared to other areas of the state. But the high household income does not necessarily mean that housing is still affordable here. Little Compton's housing market demonstrates, in fact, something to the opposite. The median single family household price in Little Compton is just under $1 million. It's $936,000. So just under $1 million is the average household price in Little Compton. That is nearly twice the average of the state of Rhode Island. The median housing income payment, or the median monthly housing payment, is approximately a hair under $7,000. Now that would take into account just general metrics for folks that are entering the housing market. That's what you could expect as a mortgage on that household price. That again is roughly about twice as much as what the statewide figure would be of about $3,000 for an average monthly payment. Those numbers illustrate why it's not simply just creating an affordable household for a moderate income. This is not just seeking for low income. This is really trying to achieve a price point for your more median income and really an affordable price point for the bulk of the population. There's only, I would argue, a small percentage of the population that can afford a unit that is an average of $1 million. So this is for your first-time home buyers. This is for your young families. This is for your municipal employees. This is for your teachers, your service workers, your local professionals, seniors who may want to remain in the community and maybe need a smaller unit and want to downsize and have a more affordable cost. That's the target for what this project is looking for. And that's the population that it's attempting to help. One unit will be deed restricted as affordable, 120%. We've covered that. The other three would be restricted to attainable housing, which would be monitored at about 140% of the area median income. Those are points we've covered. And so in general, I want to say that's why this project is not, it's important to look at this project not simply as 4 additional houses, but from a planning perspective, it's 4 additional opportunities for people who otherwise would not afford a home in Little Compton. They may be folks that are living here now. They may be young adults looking for their first home that grew up in Little Compton. It might be a senior that's looking to downsize. And because of these affordability restrictions, they're intended to remain in place for at least 30 years. So this isn't a short-term investment. It's a long-term investment, and having these units provide that kind of housing opportunity. So to conclude, I do believe this project is addressing and attempting to meet the local housing need. Third point, consistency with the housing element of the comprehensive plan. I think this is one of the strongest aspects of this proposal. Little Compton's 2018 comprehensive plan incorporates the housing element as the town's update to its affordable housing plan. So that element of your comprehensive plan is the document of record for which the state law asks to compare. The first, I'm gonna cite a few of the specific goals. I don't wish to be long-winded. A lot of the details are covered in my report, but I'm going to cite a few of the goals and just make a few remarks just to make sure that for the broader purpose of the audience, it's understood how this plan advances the issues and the objectives this proposal is seeking to meet. So one is goal H1, to meet the needs of the town's residents for attainable housing. Well, this project is specifically offering, as a voluntary action, 3 attainable units where it could be seeking a market rate unit. The housing element calls for an increase in diversity of the housing. I believe this proposal advances that because these are modest size homes. It does fit with the character of this particular neighborhood, but it offers a different size and a different price point than many people would experience in Little Compton. So it is offering diversity. This is smaller homes than what I would say is the average in Little Compton, and the price points are certainly very different than the average price point in Little Compton. Goal H2 of the housing element is to achieve 10% affordable housing stock in keeping with the low and moderate income housing goal. So obviously this project, while it's not going to get you to 10%, this project is focused on making progress towards that goal. The housing element identifies specific strategies for affordable housing. One that's relevant is a strategy for affordable housing is the rehabilitation of existing housing units for affordable occupancy. This project is doing that. It is the schoolhouse building that will become the affordable unit out of the 4. So this is a strategy coming from the town's own planning documents. This is actually from the original housing plan from nearly 20 years ago, was to utilize existing units, existing structures, existing buildings, rehabilitate them for affordable housing. Obviously, this project is really not just consistent with that, it's advancing that particular policy. The housing element contains goal H3, which I think is particularly important because it recognizes the need to balance affordable housing with Little Compton's rural and scenic character. I do believe, and referring back to the first point about housing compatibility, that this is a modest scale site. It's not a greenfield development. The size and the scale of it is seeking to fit with the local housing stock. I do believe you're achieving that balance between affordable and attainable housing and something that is fitting with the rural character of Little Compton. So I believe this project is not merely consistent with the housing element. I believe it advances the goals of the housing element. The next point, consistency with the other elements of the comprehensive plan. This is not a required finding of state law, but I think many planning boards like to know if the projects are consistent with its overall planning document of the comprehensive plan. I believe it is. The central theme running through many of the policies of the comp plan is balance. The town wants to preserve its rural and scenic character. It wants to protect natural historic resources, but it also recognizes people need places to live. So I think I'd kind of ask the board, I wouldn't frame this application, do we achieve affordable housing or do we achieve rural character? I think this is a proposal that's trying to find the right balance. It's achieving affordable housing while at a small, modest scale, it is still preserving the rural character. So, and then from a historic perspective, there's numerous goals in the plan that talk about wanting to see appropriate historic preservation and rehabilitation. I think this plan is doing that. I think this project is doing that. Let's move on to the fifth point, my final point, which is the required standards for a comprehensive permit. And this is where my job is to basically reach positive conclusions based on the analysis in my report. And I'm just going to offer them here as testimony, and then I can jump right to questions. But the five standards are: one, perhaps the most important standard is whether the proposed development is consistent with local needs as identified by the community's affordable housing plan. Again, that's your housing element. So I believe I've covered those points well already. And I think the answer is clearly yes. This project does meet the local housing needs. It is creating the 3 voluntary attainable housing that further meets your local housing needs, and the affordable unit. The second finding is consideration of compliance with zoning and subdivision standards, and where it doesn't comply with your local standards, where adjustments are necessary, whether the local concerns outweigh the need for affordable housing. So at this preliminary plan stage, the proposal is intentionally modest. The 4 homes are on 2.4 acres. Instead of seeking the 8, they're seeking the 4. More importantly, the applicant is not attempting to maximize its profit. It's providing the attainable housing, not the market rate. Due to this, I do believe the adjustments that are being sought, the level, the differences between what your local zoning would allow and what this project is, I do believe the need for local affordable housing does outweigh the adjustments that are being met. And I believe the adjustments are modest and they're trying to take a modest approach. The third finding is, are the income units integrated into the development and compatible in scale and architectural style? The architect did just address that finding, and I also concur. I do believe that this affordable unit is well integrated. This is a very tight development. The 4 units are clearly treated very equally amongst this overall development scheme. Let's see. The next statutory consideration is whether the development will create significant negative impacts on public health and safety. And this does include the range of considerations such as traffic circulation, emergency access, wastewater disposal, potable water, stormwater, preservation of natural, historic, cultural resources. So that's a throwing a lot of concepts, but this finding incorporates all of these findings. So based upon all of the materials that have been submitted, as well as the testimony by the other professionals, I find no evidence that this preliminary plan stage would indicate the project cannot address and satisfactorily address all of those issues and address any local impact and the local concerns adequately. I do believe there's sufficient evidence on the record of how they're going to address all of those local impacts related to public health and safety. The project has a defined access arrangement. The proposed homes will be serviced by state-approved wells, state-approved OWTS systems. For the other findings, the project does have permanent physical access to a public roadway. That's not in question. And that the individual lots will not have physical constraints that would make developable impractical. Those final findings are fairly easy to make for a site like this. So when I look at the required findings collectively, I reach the conclusion that the project satisfies all of the applicable standards for approval of a comprehensive permit. I know that the statute requires the planning board to look at density, local impacts, infrastructure, health and safety. It's important to note all of those considerations need to be made within the context of, is this advancing local housing need? Is this addressing local housing need? And I do believe this is an excellent example of a project that's seeking to do a modest approach, not maximize the density, and is voluntarily providing additional attainable units. It's a great win-win project for the town. So that being said, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions. Do you have any redirect? Nope.
Yeah, my thought on it was, the comp plan when it was developed, has housing is something we wanted to develop, but we did keep our zoning at the time, and I don't want to have any illusion that we wouldn't be here if the state didn't change their regulations on what we're allowed to do. I mean, I think they're doing the best they can with what they got, but I don't think it really is part of the rural character of the comprehensive plan. I think it's an okay location. It's the best we could hope for to have this, but I don't think there's any chance that this would be happening if the state didn't change their regulations. And the 8x4, I suspect if you could get 8 wells and 8 septic systems and all the setbacks on there, we might see more houses on there. So keep on saying that's like a bonus to us. That's put an apartment building on there, give it a try.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that the applicant is recognizing the limitations of the site with its 4 units. But I think it's important to note, as a regulatory perspective, from a legal perspective, the state density bonus does indicate they could achieve this. And I tend to agree. I mean, the physical constraints may not suggest that, but when we compare, the state asks us to compare, are we addressing local impacts to the greatest degree we can while we advance the affordable housing need? I think this project finds the right balance.
To underwrite what he was saying, and I agree totally that we wouldn't be having this conversation right now if they hadn't changed all the rules.
Yeah.
And having said that, I appreciate, again, I started this whole meeting with saying I appreciate what they're trying to accomplish. But you made some statements in that I challenge in saying that it meets all the criteria. We're still asking for a traffic study. And I don't think this meets that criteria yet. I think that school's still out on that. I'd like to see an actual traffic study done on this because that is one of the main issues, in my view, as far as safety is concerned on this road. And I'd like to see a traffic study done. And then we'll see when the wells are put in. But this site has some real constraints. And I think Bill's done a good job putting them on paper, but he knows I recognize the constraints of this project. And one of the constraints is the access, and the other one is the road. And that's a highly traveled, high-speed road. And a lot of people that travel north on that road aren't from this town. And that stop sign won't make any difference at that speed. And
Sal, we're at the preliminary stage.
I understand that. I'm going to say what I have to say.
Yeah.
And he just gave us a study.
Yes.
And I'm talking about his study. And when you say this package meets all these things, I disagree. And I respect your position as a planner, but also I disagree with saying that this project meets all that. Thank you.
Particularly from the traffic standpoint.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fair enough. And I'm not a traffic expert. I can't claim to be a traffic expert. As a planner, for many years, I've reviewed many traffic studies. And I've been responsible for evaluating when I feel a project triggers a need for a traffic study and the circumstances that tend to lend to that. I would note, I don't think there's any doubt in this room as to whether the capacity of that roadway, that, that it wouldn't impair or make the roadway so busy that these 4 units couldn't exist there. This isn't the level of traffic study where you're thinking the roadway doesn't have the capacity. You're thinking more about the turning movements, the safety of the turning movements, and the signalization. And really the idea is that it wouldn't get a street light. That's certainly not within the realm of possibility. Out of the range of possibilities, really, to address this and to make it the most safe it can be while staying within the bounds of what RIDOT would allow, I think relocating that stop sign is the option. There's not a range of unlimited options of different physical solutions to the traffic
I will
problem.
admit it has the potential to help.
Yeah, I do. And I do want to say, I do appreciate what the Commons Foundation has done. I mean, and as far as a board or my thoughts, you came to us and we were, helped with the 3/4 acre and we were all working towards that. But I really feel like we're here only because of the 1 acre, that density bonus.
The state law. Yeah, no, and that's fair. As a professional planner, I've advocated for other comprehensive permit projects across the state. I've been hired by neighborhood groups to sometimes oppose comprehensive permits it is a tool that is being currently widely used around the state. For the town in which I'm the municipal planner, we have a proposal in front of us right now for 400 units as a comprehensive permit. So I do understand, I mean, the power of this tool is what's driving people to use it. It's the idea that this tool, if a community isn't at 10%, it provides a very streamlined process and a process that's well protected by state appeal. Out of all the comprehensive permits I've seen in doing this, and I've worked as a professional planner for 20 years, and I've been a consultant, and believe me, I mean, there's a number. I'm probably involved with 5 comprehensive permits right now, some opposing, some for. This is the most modest and attractive and appealing comprehensive permit I've seen in my career, and I believe it might remain that for the end of my career. To get 4 units and for 3 of them to be attainable in this scale and this setting, this is one of the most attractive comprehensive permits I think a community could hope to get. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, I think that, I do have one question. What is the area that makes up the area that the income is based on? What's the, are there other towns included?
Other towns are included.
What is the area?
The area is based on the median area for the general district. I believe this reaches into the same district for area compatibility as even Providence and Pawtucket.
Do we know what towns are included?
Yeah, it goes up kind of the East Bay side. And that's one of the problems of, even if you were gung-ho trying to do low and moderate income housing and that 120% limit, because it doesn't include, it's not the rest of Newport County. It doesn't include Newport, Middletown, Portsmouth. That would bring the area median income up so that you could still be at that 120 and do it. But instead it goes up through Tiverton and East Providence and that side. So the area median income is low enough that even if, 120, it can't be done.
Is it all in the state, or is Fall River part of it?
No, it's not in Massachusetts, I don't believe. It's all in Rhode Island, but it
Fall
goes
River
up.
might be in the area. I believe Fall River might be part of that metro area.
Fall River is not in the
Hold
area.
on.
May I've been studying this. I'm Ty Howe.
I'm sorry, can I get your name?
Okay, could,
I need your name for the record.
yeah, come forward.
TYHOWE.
I just want for the record, so this is another member of the Commons Foundation who I want to present as a witness now. Go ahead. I'll
Sure,
let you-
just briefly, to answer everybody's sort of uncertainty about this, it does extend the geographic area for this area median income, does extend up through Pawtucket, through Providence, through Central Falls, and further onward up to the northwest. Okay, Mr. Tights is correct that the Portsmouth, Middletown, Newport, Jamestown is not included in it. But some of those towns drop the AMI because their income is less. Thank you.
Thank you.
It basically means that for that area, if you were a single occupant family, I believe the number you need to achieve, the annual income for a single occupant, I believe at 120 area median income, we're at about 90,000 to 95,000. So that's what's considered eligible for the affordable unit. We're not even talking about the attainable. So really, I mean, a lot of people are thinking of who is this for? I mean, that's that middle income range that this is achieving, because without this project, people in a middle income range could not anticipate affording in Little Compton.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think we've completed our main part of the case here and let you hear from the public, and we'll make notes and then we'll respond after the public has had a chance to speak.
Were there some people from the public who wish to speak?
Yes. Right. If I could.
Please.
Can I ask though that people, yes, forward
Yes,
so we
go
can all hear
forward
them? Sure. And the stenographer.
Please give your name.
Yes.
Nicholas Carter, NICHLAUSCRTR. My wife and I are the owners of 216 Long Highway, which is southeast of the plot in question. It's actually a question for Bill. I think you answered it earlier, but I just want to make sure it's clear. There is no current plans for a physical drain at the front of that driveway to keep runoff from going onto the road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And your reasoning for that?
Can we, like I said, can we respond to all the questions at once rather than one at a time?
On this one, I
Just
think
let them go.
dialogue on this would be helpful.
There's no drain there now. We're going to be reducing the amount of impervious surface, so water coming off of this property will be reduced from what currently comes off. That's the DOT may have a different opinion. It's before them. It's their road. They feel that there's drainage that needs to be done. My position was that I didn't think that was necessary.
To the point in the 5 points of the plan there, that stormwater, I think, was one of them, correct? I would encourage the board to come observe that road on a stormy day when there's heavy rains. When we bought the property, there is so much water coming off of that road, and there's no berm on the eastern side of that road going down the hill towards the south. We had so much water coming off of that we had to put in a French drain to prevent the water from coming up against our foundation and into our basement. So I would encourage the board to look at that stormwater runoff and that assessment with heavy scrutiny.
So just your location is the southeast?
Yes, it's the property one beyond what is shown in this here, 216.
And so the existing driveway where the water comes down onto Long Highway and then makes its way to the south toward you?
There is water coming all down this hill that then feeds into my driveway into the property. Because there's no berm on this side of the road to prevent it from coming into our driveway.
Are you
saying
coming from the property?
What's that?
It's coming from the property or it's road water?
I have not gone up that far up the hill to observe.
Yep.
I know that it comes down this side of the road because of that slope of that hill. And my property is the one where it starts to flatten out towards the bottom of that hill. And we get significant runoff coming off of that road, so much so that we had to install a drain at our own expense.
I think the crest of the roadway is right about here. So I think any water that comes out here is going to head north. I'll double check that. If there's an issue with that, I'll certainly incorporate that into the final plans.
Yeah, I would encourage to go deeper on that. Like, we have sent requests to the DOT for a berm on that side of the road, but those have gone unanswered. Thank you.
I just have a few questions.
Can you please come forward?
Oh, sure. And the stenographer will read your name.
Okay, and I'll be very quick. Perry, Perri, Bar, Bahr. I don't see any garages. Are there going to be garages, or is that the responsibility of the buyer to build them?
There are not going to be any garages.
None at all. Okay. I just have a question, I guess, about seniors. I don't see any of the pavement or hard surfaces or stairs. And there is actually quite a bit of grading and slope. So is the intention that the developer would build stairs or ramps to access the houses? Or is that for the people to buy them?
Yeah. Just stand up and give your name so
Yeah.
that not forgets it again.
Jim Pyatt. There was a question whether or not there would be stairs or ramps provided.
Well, I just, for senior people, some of these slopes are relatively steep.
Well,
So
no,
they.
Absolutely. We wouldn't just build a house 1.5 feet above grade and they have to step up. If it needs a porch with steps.
So as part of the development, those would be built.
Absolutely.
Okay, because some of the ramps would actually need to be,
Or not necessarily a handicap ramp, though.
well, yeah. Well,
Subject
it's
to
not-
the
It had to be
common
sort of
foundation.
senior. if
Sorry,
it's-
sorry, one at a time.
I would imagine, I mean, I haven't talked about it with Bill Smith about it, but I imagine if a unit, somebody buys a unit and needs a handicap ramp, we will consider doing that. It's not a big deal.
Okay, in order to be ADA compliant, is it a foot, an inch of height, a foot of length?
But yeah, well, 1 in 12 is the maximum you can do for handicap.
Right.
Correct.
So a 3-foot change of grade would require a 36-foot long ramp.
We're not gonna have a 3-foot change of grade to get into the house.
Well, there's a 3-foot right here showed on this dwelling. I mean, are these 1-foot contours?
But it depends.
1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 feet.
But it depends what the distance is that we're going. And there's also a possibility of creating.
Okay,
As you, ramp, well, so if that's a place that we would change the grading.
so that would be a 48-foot long ramp. For 4 feet.
Or a set of stairs. And if we.
Right, which is not really serving a senior who has problems with distance or walking. All right, we don't need to.
We will follow the code and the requirements regarding ramps.
I was just wondering if they were gonna be ADA compliant. Okay, I don't think you have an answer.
Yeah, I think it's all detail. There's no top of foundation.
None of these are designed upfront as ADA accessible, which is what I think the question is from the beginning. This is not a senior housing complex. So no, none of them, they are 1-story units. And they will be, as indicated by the architect, if there's someone who's interested in buying it that needs the accommodation, then that would be how we would look into it. That would probably include things about revamping the bathroom layout, so forth, and the ramp. And obviously, that's something that we'll only know down the line. But we're not selling it in any way as saying this is for seniors and so forth, and it's already pre-designed for all of that. And given that there's only 3 new units, it's not a legal requirement to do it.
All right, I have another just question about constructability. Because it seems that with this grading and some of this grading, that in order to do that, you would actually have to be on the neighboring property with equipment.
Yeah,
We are responding to these one at a time.
it's close to the property line, but for sure. The neighbor has helped us do some site work already. We're not proposing that guaranteeing that he'd do that, but if it's gonna be too tight, we can tweak things a little bit. But, yeah, that is right up to the property line.
Right, and this is also a very steep slope.
Yes, Grant, I could agree.
Okay. That's it.
That steep slope on the backside there is actually an 18-foot cliff. Which goes down to Chris Wilkie's land, and we're gonna have to, we are planning on putting a fence to make sure that the children don't fall down or anybody else doesn't
That's a good
fall down. That's in the budget.
Thank you.
Petparca.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Who couldn't hear me? Oh, Sarah Petrarca. Do you need me to spell it?
Please.
Petrarca.
Thank you.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to publicly show some support for the Commons Foundation. I was fortunate enough to be born and raised in Little Compton. However, myself and people like me are currently struggling to continue to have the opportunity to stay here, put down roots, and raise a family. The Commons Foundation gives many of us hope that owning a home in this community we cherish might actually be within reach. Many of my friends, neighbors, and peers are struggling with the rising cost of housing and wondering whether they will be able to stay here in the years ahead. And that uncertainty not only affects individuals, families, but the entire community. When people who are from here and love this town can no longer afford to live here, Little Compton loses an important part of what makes it special. Supporting efforts like those of the Commons Foundation means investing in the future of Little Compton. It means making sure that the people who work here, grew up here, and want to raise their children here have the privilege to remain a part of this town that they love. And I hope that you'll support this project and the possibilities it represents for so many people. Thank you for your time and listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Brandon Pineo, Brandonpineo. This question and comments, I think, Bill, you'll be a portion of this, and a representative from the foundation as well, probably in the end. I see the septics and I see the wells laid out neatly on the property, and, you know, it looks great. However, and I really do believe that the Commons Foundation is acting in an altruistic manner and in an empathetic way to bring this type of housing here. My question is this, though. I want to extend that empathy to one of the families that's going to end up in the home. And I guess what I'm asking is, what is their recourse, given the close nature of the property, the septics, one is shared, and the location of the wells? What is their recourse if one of those wells were to go dry or become, you know, not useful? Is there ample space to drill a new well? Obviously, septic systems can be addressed, but I mean, in terms of potable water, that's a significant concern. So basically, is there room for new wells to be drilled? And what is their recourse? Who do they call? So, in other words, is the Commons Foundation going to hold a bond or an insurance on these properties for when something like this occurs? Or do the people who are going to be living in these homes have an avenue where they might not end up condemned or have to move? Or is the Commons Foundation going to have a reserve property somewhere if someone gets displaced due to a bad well or something like that? What does that young family do who, we've already talked tonight a little bit, had commentary about people maybe just barely able to afford one of these, or this is the avenue to get into town? If they're at that level, what do they do when there's a problem? What's next for them? If there's a problem, can another well be drilled? So I guess one is for Bill, one is for a representative of the foundation.
You want to take the physical question first?
Sure. So the septic system for this lot, for lot number one, is west of the house.
Mhm.
The well is in the northeast corner. There certainly is adequate room here if that well were to become an issue. Same thing for lot number 4. That well is back here with the septic system up here, so there is additional land up there. It gets a little tighter for lot number 2, but there is some additional land down in here that could be used for another well. Now, it's not unlimited space that's available, but there are alternatives.
And granted, like if a well, this is where an expert comes in, because I am not. However, like if a well goes, if this were to go dry, to drill one here would probably be improved or here. So I guess the question is, what is the recourse for that young family who now they're going to call the town or they're going to call somebody? I don't know if they're going to call the foundation or Jim or whomever, but that young family is now going to be faced with a situation where they could say, I've called the town. Now the town knows that I don't have water. Is my property now going to be condemned because it's not up to standard? That was one of my concerns. Now, this is not to knock this plant. Okay, I want to be very clear about that. But I'm worried about the individuals who are at the socioeconomic level that was talked about here. What are they going to do when there's a major problem?
So we take that actually pretty seriously, Brandon. There's 2 responses to that. All of these houses, both the affordable and the attainable houses, will have monitors. The monitors will visit the house to make sure that things are being taken care of and being maintained well. And if in fact, so we had Frank Rigo come by and walk the property, and we discussed in some length, and he told us that he would expect that if the first well didn't get, so we're gonna insist that the wells that we drill have an adequate amount of water when they get drilled, which is going to reduce the chances. We're not going to be accepting a half gallon a minute wells in order for this to work. But then the second part of it is that if the wells do run dry, as Joe pointed out earlier, we have a grant program.
Okay.
And a grant program provides grants of up to 20,000, which is 2 wells in little.
If you're lucky, yeah.
So we would obviously take it pretty seriously, our responsibility to make sure that these homes are.
Okay, so is there going to be language drafted that within a certain given amount of time that there would be some assistance rendered or something like that? I mean, I really worry because if they're, like I said,
There's going to be language in the monitoring agreement.
Okay.
Which allows the monitor to make recommendations as to what needs to be done.
I think that's very important. Thank you. You've answered my question.
Jim, just as a question,
Adequate.
how many gallons
What's
are you
adequate?
going to accept? What did you determine adequate was? Because we went back and forth
That
over
was
this.
Well, we haven't put that in writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did Frank talk to you about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be very interested in what.
What's Compton well in Little Compton is 2.5 gallons a minute.
I know, you said you would accept a half. We had a lot of discussion about it. What is the threshold?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. I don't have a
We're,
question.
we're obviously going to shoot for 2 gallons a minute.
And there are other ways if your yield is not satisfactory where you could put holding tanks in the basement.
Tanks and go.
Run it on a slow pace like the school does.
Yeah.
They've got a very slow well and they've got some large holding tanks in the basement here.
And if I may, Rhode Island has the doctrine of implied warranties of habitability. So if somebody buys a property and there's not sufficient water, that property owner can sue who they bought the property
How
from.
many years is that left?
Lasts a long time.
6 years?
3 years from the date that you discover it,
Okay, 3 years.
from the date of the discovery of the defect.
Well, if it's not a defect in the beginning, I mean, it becomes a defect. I mean,
Then you have 3 years.
so forever, then you have 3 years? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It does make sense. If you buy property and there's a defect in it, and I'm even going to go further. If there's an environmental hazardous condition and then you discover it, you discovered it and then you get your 3 years.
Yeah, I don't agree with you.
Bob, I tell you what,
I'm willing to go to Matt on it. I don't agree.
understand, but you know, here's the thing. I'm telling you what the law is. I'm telling you what the law is. Just like the law that you
Let's stay out of this
Yeah,
one.
me too. I'm not,
I'm gonna tell you why.
maybe
I'm gonna tell you why.
buried chemicals, maybe.
I'm gonna
but
stay
not-
out of it. Yeah,
Okay.
but so
Any,
you're gonna look into that, and I'd be very interested in what Frank or you determine what that well will be.
We're obviously gonna wind
For
up,
a number of reasons,
we're gonna crack all the stalls. We're not,
Right.
we're not drilling.
because that's a big concern. You know, and if you're gonna
Cracking
do,
the wells is in the budget.
okay, we can't solve that right now.
no, I'm not trying to solve it.
Any other, oh, okay.
Very good.
Ethan Lister, Lister. I live at 210 Long Highway, right directly across the street here. Pretty much born and raised there. That's a bad hill. I go out of my driveway every day, look to the left, look to the right, look again, keep looking till I get out and go on. It's been a lot of accidents. We've lost a lot of dogs, pets. We used to have a lot of farm animals on the property. It's a bad hill. I know you're proposing on moving the driveway and stuff, but what about school buses and stuff? Is there any input for that? You're marketing this towards young families, correct? There is a school bus sign right actually on the. Yeah, I'm aware of it. It's been there for a long, long time. Right. So, but has anybody talked to the school bus, the school company, bus drivers? I haven't. You haven't? I have not. Okay. Well, it's a major concern of mine. I grew up, my kids went to school there. My brother, who's sitting next to me, his kids went to school. When I was growing up, I would have to walk next door to the laneway, which nobody else has addressed about the laneway being open and traffic coming out of the hill. So. There's a lot of it. It's a big one. Once again, I know we touched base on why so many houses. Why can't it be small? A little smaller. I know what you said within your rights and all of this other stuff, but this is going against the character of everything.
I think that's more in the line of that's your statement. I don't really think there's an answer.
No,
that we haven't
I'm
given
asking.
on it. I think Jim has already given that answer. We cannot, as a charitable foundation, there's a fiduciary duty to the people who give money. It's got to be used reasonably. And if every single unit is subsidized to such an extent that there's no room to do the other programs, such as the grants and the loans, or even develop other housing, or there are other projects that are in the works with people donating land and so forth. So there has to be a reasonable element to it. And I kept hearing one line from Mr. McLean's testimony that I thought I should have used, sums it up: modest. This is a modest proposal. It is not your 2-acre zoning. But frankly, if you there's two things. One is the state law. And I think the whole idea of a one-size-fits-all 10% for every community in the state is a stupid idea. But it's been the law since 1991. And it is the law, and that's it. But then there's the practical impact of looking around, and you see what the prices are, and you know the people who want to live here, who can't, and you would like to have them living in your community and can't. And if you just stick always to 2 acres, then they never will. So that's the why the 4. This is a modest start. Is it going to get you to 10%? No, I think it's probably going to get you to 1.2 or something from 1.1 or 1.3. It's not going to get you very far, but it's a start, and you have to start somewhere. Other quick question for, I don't know, the architect or Mr. Smith. Landscape plan, what this is going to look like at the end of the day? And I'm asking from the aspect of my headlights are going to be coming up my driveway a lot of times in the middle of the night because I have to go out for work. Am I going to be in a battle with my neighbors over this?
over driveway, over cars coming out of the driveway?
No, I'm saying if I come up out of my driveway, am I gonna, because my headlight's gonna be right hitting this one right here.
Yeah, so right on the east side of where house number 2 is, there is really a very attractive, nearly impenetrable wall of rhododendrons that are 10 feet high.
Hence my question, where's the landscape plan?
There's no question that we're gonna keep that wall of rhododendrons there. So that won't even, it's almost impossible for that site to see through those walls of rhododendron. And they're safe. We're gonna work pretty hard to make sure that the only house that people are gonna wind up seeing there is the current house.
Okay. From another aspect, coming out of this driveway with the slope, my brother currently lives right here, right next to me. Is he gonna have an impact with lights in his house, cars going in and out?
Did he have it before when the previous tenants were?
No, because the driveway's more to the south.
We're not talking that much of a shift, I don't think.
It's only 7 feet. It's a slight shift to the.
I'm just asking, because you got grade changes in Governor,
I'll look at that, but I don't anticipate that.
right? You're dropping your 5% grade, was it?
5 down to 1 at the road.
Okay.
Right.
And I know he's got a bank in front of his house. I understand all that, but I'm just asking the question before it turns into a, hey.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Anyone want to speak? No, then I think that we'll close the public hearing.
Well, I had one other question.
We're gonna continue to start the planning.
Well, if you're gonna ask questions of us that we need to respond, that needs to be done during your public hearing.
Not necessarily. Not part of the public hearing because the public's not speaking. They want to get to deliberations. In connection with your deliberations, you might have some questions, correct?
I had
Yes.
questions.
Let's go.
Okay. I was just, it's really more of an open question. What's the possibility of having ADUs on either the attainable, the affordable lot? Is that possible, or what's the plan? I mean,
It turns out that the existing schoolhouse.
Yep.
Has a 3-bedroom septic. It's only a 2-bedroom house. And the well on that house generates more than 5 gallons a minute. So, and there is no question that there is a possibility of an ADU, at least from those two standpoints.
isn't that on the affordable? Are you allowed to have an ADU with the
Yeah.
affordable within the guidelines of the income? I mean, how does that work?
Once the person buys the land,
Right.
if their income goes up, they're no longer restricted once they own the property. If somebody buys the land, that's a
Property isn't the affordable nature of the property. So a single person buys it, they get married, double their income. Now they can go ahead and develop that property further to have an ADU or something on it.
There's still.
Wait, there's a restriction on resale pricing.
Yes.
But
They're not going to be able, if they build an ADU,
Right, and same with the attainable, there'll be a restriction on the resale.
Yeah, they can do it, but.
They can do it, they're not
They're
gonna get the money.
back.
You really have to like this.
No, we went through that in the attainable.
But it's, so that is, excuse me, Dr. Locke. So that one unit is the only one.
Yeah.
That would be
I think so.
subject to that.
I think so.
I think it's
Because of
highly,
septic limitations.
And limitations
He
for
says
30
he
years.
thinks so. What do you say?
I think it's highly unlikely that there will be any ADUs because there are all going to be limits on what these units can be sold for in the future based on the consumer price index. So that when people sell it, if they put a lot of money into an ADU, they're not going to be able to recover that when they sell it because they're going to be stuck with the percentage from the purchase cost.
But it's in 30 years they could, right? If so the mortgage,
Yeah.
they could then
In
get.
30 years, absolutely. I mean, That's 30 years down the line, but yes, in 30 years,
Okay,
there might be state zoning and, you know, everything will be 10 houses per acre throughout the whole state. Who knows?
It already is, isn't it? With affordable houses, you could put 10 in an acre on.
yeah, right.
I will, I'll let you go, I'll forego a closing statement if I can, let you get forward, going forward. I do. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have the attainable housing from the ordinance,
Yes.
and it says a lot created in accordance with the attainable housing ordinance shall not be treated as a substandard lot of record and shall not be eligible for further subdivision, the placement of an ADU or any relief available to substandard lots of record.
I think that's true. And again, I think that's another thing that's going to discourage it. There's no plans. I don't know what the state will do in the future. Right now, they have somewhat had overrides on the ADUs. I mean, the big thing is the state allows you to put an ADU in any existing building. Again, is that going to happen because of the small size of these buildings? Probably not. Can I tell you 100% that there will never be an ADU? No. But I think it's very unlikely that any of these will have an ADU.
This is our.
But I think the question,
Addition,
if Sheila's reading from our ordinance that defines
Right, and so we're
attainable
not,
housing.
right,
If these 4 houses are going to follow those guidelines, they're not.
okay, so right, from the purpose of our application, it is 1 low and moderate income housing unit and 3 market rate units for the purposes of the legal thing. We will be, in fact, having them attainable according to the Commons Foundation guidelines, which are slightly separate, slightly different than the state, than your ordinance in the Little Compton. Now, we are not asking for any relief from that. So there again, that would be another way that someone wouldn't be able to come in and put an ADU on it without having to come back to you to ask for it, because we're not asking any relief from that at this point. But I do point out that they are slightly different. The big one being what was already mentioned, 30 years versus 99 years. And that's because of just the practicality of getting it financed, people.
You don't have to ask for relief. They're market units.
That's right.
They're taking the brunt of it. And so somebody could put an ADU on there anytime they wanted to.
Well, no, because all 4 units are part of the comprehensive permit. So
The 3 market.
The 3 market and the low and moderate income one are all part of the comprehensive permit. So I don't think that they would be free in the future. They would have to come back to you if they're substantially changing it.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a quick question?
Yes, please.
Are there going to be restrictions on the other 3 units for attainability?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
They will not be, as I said, they won't be the exact same attainability restrictions of the town's ordinance because it's only going to be 30 years, but they will be very similar and they will be there, including a monitoring agent. The foundation will have a monitoring agent.
Mr. Chairman, am I correct that what's on the floor now is an application which require an application for preliminary plan review and approval. And it is next for us to make a vote after making some findings on whether or not to grant the approval of the preliminary plan approval. And in that way, and if it's approved with conditions, to articulate the conditions. And am I right that we would need also to make specific decisions about the various dimensional adjustments? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Adjustments?
Yes,
But it's adjustments that have been requested in the application. Is that
Yes.
what's in front of the board now? Yes.
Have we closed the open meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that was unclear. Okay, thank you.
So
You're saying adjustment, you're saying waivers.
No,
I
adjustment.
think the language,
Sal, the
the
statute.
word they use is adjustments. We might know them as waivers or
Well, the advertisement was
Variance.
waivers. So.
It's the same thing. Um, do we need to review the adjustments?
Right, but you don't use the variance standards, you use the comp permit standards.
Well, maybe I don't understand that for everybody, the distinction between the comprehensive permit standard for a relief and
Those are the.
these are what.
Suggestion for the motion. The motion would be, in the first instance, whether or not the application should be granted. You need to take a look at the standards under section 45-53-4. Okay? And once you do that, would make your motion subject to whatever type of conditions you need to place on this application. And to me, the distinction between waiver and adjustments, that's not something you need to take a look at, but you need to address what they're asking for in their relief. And whatever other conditions you want to place on the approval, if it is an approval, whatever other conditions you want to place at this time, based upon what you heard in this presentation. So I think that's the order that you need to go in.
So the first would be a motion to approve the application for the comprehensive permit application.
Correct. With the requested waivers.
With the requested adjustments or waivers.
And then you place any other conditions on it after making findings of fact.
So
it would be approving the preliminary plan.
Correct, yeah.
Well, before we can approve, I think that the findings, by statute, the findings have to come first.
That's correct, yeah.
So let me take a stab at that. What we have to do by law.
And then we're gonna talk about anything we want to attach to.
You bet. Yeah, we're not there yet.
Right.
We have to do this for,
Yeah, go ahead.
and then if we approve, and then there are subject to the fulfillment of other matters, Sal, we can identify what they are and then vote on the whole thing.
Yeah.
We are required by Rhode Island law in this part of the comprehensive permit process to make findings. And we have expert testimony from Mr. McLean, which addressed all of the required findings under Rhode Island General Laws 45-53-4. And as a result of our testimony tonight, I come to the conclusion that we have legally competent evidence on the record to support the following findings: that the proposed development is consistent with the local needs as identified in Little Compton's affordable housing plan, that the proposed development is in compliance with the standards and provisions of our zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, subject, however, to any additional requirements we might place on the development proposal. Next, that the units are part of an integrated development and that the look of the development will be that of an integrated neighborhood. Also, that we have testimony, credible testimony, that there will be no significant negative impacts on the health and safety of current and future residents of the community. We also have evidence that there is physical access to a public street, and the lots will not have any physical constraints to their development. With evidence on the record to support all of those, I would vote, Mr. Chairman, that we make formal findings and confirm that through formal findings to that effect.
So one of that was safety. We have a concern about the safety. If you read
I'll read that again. The statute refers to that there are no significant negative impacts on the health and safety of the area, including safe circulation of pedestrian
Yeah, we do have concerns.
vehicular traffic.
But we do have concerns.
We do have concerns about that. It's
Yep,
one of our main concerns.
I get it, and that's part of our vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is our vote contingent on addressing? If
On the satisfaction of that issue,
had satisfactorily addressed the so that we can.
Let me make a further suggestion.
Yes.
Don't second the motion yet. Because I think, based on what you just discussed, for the significant negative impacts on health and safety, that to the extent that the finding of fact can be made on that, if there are conditions placed on the grant, then you can move forward. So at this time, the question is what type of conditions do you think are appropriate to address that section to make the positive finding of fact?
And we have to vote on whether we agree
Correct,
on
yes.
those conditions.
I think for my part, one of the issues being the traffic engineer. Having a traffic engineer give us a report on the entrance and take into consideration the placement of a stop sign when he does so. So we're not addressing that issue separately. What do you think?
I agree with that.
Do we need?
Pardon? Would we have, in order to move forward on this particular point, would we need to have a vote on whether we support the view that a traffic study is required?
Yeah, you might want to do that while you have the main motion pending.
I think so too. Because my view, with all due respect to my friends, is that I have heard testimony that we have had DOT weigh in, and we've had.
But DOT is looking at it.
And we had this local, with fire, and we've had local officials weigh in, and there's no one yet has convinced me that more feedback on this is required.
My answer is that has been a dangerous intersection for years and years.
Yeah.
If DOT was going to do something about it correctly, there'd be a stop sign there already.
And we have a neighbor who lives there who says it's a dangerous situation. Smoke in here, animals dying, accidents.
Bob,
That's credible.
I hear you loud and clear. And my view is that I'm comfortable with putting the condition that, because DOT is still considering this, that one of the conditions is that DOT signs off on this and endorses it without, but if DOT says we need to do X, Y, and Z, I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. But if DOT says we have examined this and we are satisfied that whatever their corrective action is, I'm satisfied that that would be addressing questions of traffic safety without the need for another layer of examination.
I don't know how
And
they
I
do
just
that
put myself on that.
without a traffic study.
Sorry, Mr. Tochi, could you repeat
I
that?
said, I don't know how they do that without a traffic
And
study.
that's up to DOT. I'm not an expert in that.
My view is that we're here to protect the town, the people of the town.
Yeah.
I would move that we have to be satisfied with saying yes to this.
Yeah.
We have to look at, we would ask for an engineer in a certain situation and other issues, drainage, et cetera. This has to do with traffic.
Yeah.
And I respect you, Bill. You know that. But
How would you define what if we have a traffic study that's being suggested?
And I'm saying, my view is that I'm guided by what DOT's analysis and conclusions are, to me, what I would find persuasive without the need for yet another layer on top of DOT and the local officials.
So it just seems to me that we have an opportunity to evaluate DOT's view, right? So we can assess to the extent that they have addressed the concerns. Because to Sal's point, that it's.
What's the question before DOT? I mean, how does it go?
Okay, so it is no, it's a physical alteration permit.
So that's the berm and everything?
That's the whole package, yeah. The
Yeah,
berm, the regrading, the modified driveway location, the increase in width of driveway.
The traffic study?
I would actually even,
The traffic study, Bill?
no, they do.
It's just altering the berm.
Can I,
I'm having a conversation here.
okay.
Let me finish it. Then you can speak. Is it a traffic study?
It's, when I think of a traffic study, I think of traffic counts and level of service and that sort of thing. And honestly, there's no need, in my opinion, for a traffic count level of service related study.
May I?
Safety issue that you're talking about is for sight distance, for cars pulling out and making for safe.
And pulling it.
May I just interject? They're asking for a physical alteration permit. DOT will take a look at the curb cut and any other improvements that need to be made at the edge of the thing. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm unclear as to whether or not the chief of police has given anything for this project. And this is why I'm saying this.
We have testimony about that.
Well, I've spoken to Scott 3 times about this, and he's promised to put a stop sign at the bottom end of where Long Highway comes in, and he is also going to be putting in a monitor to measure traffic speed and traffic volume. That's part of what as part of deciding what should be done.
Right, and I think that if it's negative, then the horse has already left the barn, right? So I think the traffic study is something you do beforehand.
This doesn't outline that.
No, this isn't theirs. This is just what it.
That's an alteration permit right there. Doesn't, I'm looking for a safety study. I'm not looking for a count. I'm looking for a safety study.
So
All right?
as someone who has personally filed a physical alteration permit with the state for someone, this was 10 Rod Road over in Exeter, and not a dissimilar, actually a much busier road than Long Highway, long straight stretch of road though, people moving fast on it. And it was to take an existing farm laneway, a barnway, and put an opening there. And so I had to deal back and forth with DOT on the physical alteration permit. And this is what I wanted to come back. Bill said this and I was trying to say. I think traffic study is just the wrong term. Traffic study is the number of cars, and that's the counts and so forth. And we've only got 3 new houses here. You're going to have 16 total trips per day. So it's not a traffic study. What you're looking for is a traffic analysis from the safety issue. And that is exactly what DOT does with their physical alteration permit. And they count that too. If we were putting in a shopping center that was going to have a couple of 100 cars or 1,000 trips a day, they would have very different requirements for 3 new houses. They look at that. They look at the safe site distance. They will come back and request other information if they feel they need it, as far as the speeds on the road, the area, the vegetation, so forth. They do that traffic analysis. And I would suggest respectfully that I think it's actually something that is preempted by the state because it's a state road. I think it's preempted by that state process, which in fact will probably be more severe than if we just got some engineer, a traffic engineer, to look at it and say everything's fine. The state's going to be looking at it probably with more detail because that's what they do on their PAPs.
Well, I'm not looking for just some engineer to say it's fine. I'm looking for an engineer to do a study, a safety study
and that
on the intersection. Let me finish, please. They're looking at a guy that did the access to the largest hotel in Rhode Island off 95, and I moved the highway. I know what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for a safety study that incorporates that intersection and that driveway and the rise in the road. And I want to be specific about it. And that's what I'd like to see to make sure it's safe. Other than that, anything DOT is going to do, I know what DOT does. I've dealt with DOT for 50 years. And they're not going to give us what we want. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I've sat in that driveway to test this and just to look out and see, and cars do come flying up over there. Stop sign will definitely help, but I worry you're coming across the road, you got a grade coming down 1%, then to 5%. People aren't going to go ramming up that when they're making their decision to cross that road. You've got people coming up that hill right now at very high speeds. It's not 30 miles an hour. That's the posted speed. Anybody who's tried to make that left off Colebrook knows that people come flying down that hill. And we have a resident here who lost animals and people coming down that hill.
So in terms of next steps, I'm wondering whether what we can do is vote on whether to approve the preliminary plan. And then, but subject to a certain agreed upon conditions. And one of them might be, we want to see the easements.
I thought that's what we were doing.
But now I'm saying, hold on, but then when it comes to traffic safety, we might have a disagreement. We might have to have a vote on that particular condition.
Well, I'd like to get rid of that condition first.
Okay, well, we can
before
vote that way.
to approve.
Okay. I'm fine with that. You want to read that? So then, so I guess I started with some of this. Again, I'll reiterate, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. We have a reasonable people can differ on this kind of thing. I believe. Mr. Chairman,
Can I make a comment?
what?
Public hearing is closed.
Public hearing has really been closed, but.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bob, where I live, I've lost dogs and cats, and we've had motorcycle accidents. We've had someone killed on our road, but I've never had a safety, Debbie lives right near there, and they just speed past our house all the time. But I didn't have a safety
Study
or anything
Yeah.
in the house. It's just, I didn't.
The problem, I think that the problem here is that we're changing one driveway that hasn't been used that much into a drive that's going to have a number of the cars. It's going to change that area substantially. But we're running into time.
So we need to vote to extend.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We vote to extend this meeting.
Second.
A second? Thank you, Brooke.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's formulate a condition that we can vote on
Okay.
so that we can move forward to the other conditions.
Can I offer a condition for you?
Yes.
That final approval, these are conditions, final approval will be subject to. And one of the conditions will be a report from a traffic engineer regarding the safety issues of the driveway. And a second one would be that we would have a letter, we will provide something in writing from the chief of police for the record of the planning board regarding with his opinion on this.
Safety of the driveway or the accessing the driveway?
So may I just amplify that?
Yeah.
Chief of police, fire chief, DPW director. The main issue is your sight lines here. So it has to be safety of the driveway in its location, but also sight lines along the road and any suggested recommendations to increase the safety factors thereof. So you refer it to three of your public officials who have the most expertise on the area. So that would be in addition to having this traffic safety engineer take a look at the site.
Goes in the engineer.
Correct.
Okay?
That, I'll buy that.
Works.
Selected by the applicant?
Yes, we will be someone who will be a licensed engineer with traffic experience, obviously.
And what is the relevance of DOT then? I thought you guys were relying.
DOT may,
We are relying on DOT, but we want you to be happy as well. So if this is what it takes,
Are you okay with that?
we'll do it.
I mean, there's 5 core sightline and distance components, and if he addresses those and say they're all fine, and the police chief says they're fine, and DPW says they're fine, and
Then we're fine.
Then we're fine.
Okay.
I know it's the most we can do to make it safe, and that's it.
Dr. Lott.
The only thing I really hate to be picky here, but could we provide that?
Be careful now.
Fine. Go ahead.
Can I make a point? So the DOT now is very slow in creating reports in response to this. So I went to Michelle McGaugh and asked, is there any way we could get our DOT? And she gave me the name of the person who's going to be doing this report. The person I don't have, I'm sorry, I should have brought it and I don't, but I can give it to you. He's the head engineer at DOT for traffic safety. That's the guy who's going to be doing our report.
So you know he's not coming out.
Oh, he's gonna send something. And he gave me his telephone number.
So what you're talking about?
So
No,
we're
no.
talking about the head of the DOT engineering group who's gonna be doing this report.
Jim, let's stay with what Andy's proposed. We have a
Yes.
motion on the table.
But my concern actually is what Jim is saying. We're worried. What if your DPW director or the fire chief don't respond to the request here in a timely fashion? That's my request, so that we will get the request that they put something in writing immediately to them. But I want to make sure that when September comes, that we're not waiting, we're not stopped because we've got nothing from them. We haven't got a no, we haven't got a yes, we've got nothing at all from your 3
because it's
local
a
officials.
condition, because it's a condition of final plan, there's deadlines in the statute.
Yes.
And I can tell you right now, dealing with those 3, you'll get it in time.
Okay.
Very efficient.
And they're also very much aware of this project.
Okay, well, they are, and I'm not worried. It's.
Okay, let's not, it's okay, we're trying to create a consensus. We're all in the same, on the same page on that.
But while we're ahead.
So are we comfortable we have a requirement, motion?
Motion. Julie doesn't have.
Well, I have conditions that I'm writing down that keep.
No, this is,
I am suggesting conditions.
yes,
For the motion, which was previously stated by Mr. Friedman, where he went through 1 through 6 of the findings.
no, I'm addressing in particular, you suggested a motion for this traffic study.
Well, I guess,
You
I
would
guess,
hire,
I guess I would be suggesting that we would be amenable to a motion of the planning board that required as a condition of final approval,
yeah, right.
a report by a traffic engineer and written comments on the traffic safety situation by the police chief, fire chief, and director of public works of the town of Little Compton.
Correct. That's right, you're okay with.
So moved.
Or everyone's weighing it, so that's one of the conditions to preliminary plan approval.
No, the final.
Final approval.
Right.
But
Right,
preliminary approval will be subject to, and final approval was subject to receiving that.
right.
Final approval is going to be subject to receiving the HOA documentation
Okay.
with appropriate enforcement provisions. It's also going to be subject to the receipt and approval of
the easement agreement relating to the driveway, the easement agreement relating to the proposed well, and the easement agreement relating to the shared septic field, septic system field equipment.
It wouldn't be an easement for the driveway anymore. That would be part of the HOA document.
Right.
It'll be a separate lot, so it'll be part of the HOA document.
Well, but then we need something which is going to give reciprocal rights.
Right, yes.
Landowners onto
Yes.
the separate lot. So that's why I'm saying it's
Okay.
going to be an easement. It's going to be a reciprocal easement.
Okay.
And within the context of
The
HOA will be a party to that easement agreement.
Yes.
Also, we need the monitoring agent that they're gonna use.
And we need to have, right, exactly right. Subject also to receipt of satisfactory evidence concerning the monitoring
Agent for the
agent and
low and moderate income.
Low and moderate income, yep.
And subject to the approved septic system designs. Right, those are all,
Yes.
That's correct. For the EM.
Yeah, yes.
Now we got that figured.
That will come in the form
No.
of the.
The EM doesn't do septic.
Yes.
we'll have a design.
But have designs on it, and it'll be there for the designs.
Okay.
I also, the other thing, I don't know much about this, but Andy, are there going to be documents for us to review in connection with the affordability restrictions? That,
For the low and moderate income housing unit, yes.
okay, we'll need to see that. And the attainables are also going to have certain restrictions, resale restrictions,
Yes.
right? So we need to see those conveyance,
aren't,
those conveyance documents.
well, those aren't really within your purview with a review, because those are legally, those are market rate units. We're gonna be putting them in.
But but have you stated that there will be certain restrictions on
Right.
resale? So
Right.
if that's part of an element of
To see those.
some need to see
Yeah.
them to make sure that they are what we have approved. I think that's my laundry list. I don't know if there's anything else that.
I need you to read back your laundry list. I'm like scribbling as fast as I can
okay.
here. If this is part of a motion,
Yeah, all this is going to be part of it. So the motion is that we approve the preliminary plan.
Subject to the.
Subject to approval by the board. And we're going to talk about whether that's done administratively or whether that requires another hearing. That's.
I'd recommend that it come back to the board.
Well, let's just put this, so subject to
Well, you don't have to.
our approval of
The waivers.
of the various adjustments, dimensional adjustments. Question. Number one.
Right.
Number two,
well,
Mr. Teitz's traffic.
subject to the approval of the adjustments, that's not what you're approving now?
No, you are approving.
We are
approving those.
No, it's gonna be adjustments.
Well, the subject to would be the condition.
Subject to, I'm sorry, forget it.
Do you want me to repeat them slowly?
If you wrote them down, I said them, I was gonna say them again, but go ahead.
Okay. So, do you want me to go over the traffic one again, or? Okay.
Actually,
Back what I'm.
Andy and Julie, Julie, I'm gonna send you an email. This is what I have. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Prior to final plan approval, submission of a traffic safety analysis, as well as reports from the police chief, the fire chief, and the DPW director regarding the sight lines and safety of the driveway. Traffic safety analysis to be by a licensed traffic engineer,
Selected by the applicant.
selected by the applicant.
Okay. One.
Right, and there's another one that's down the small one, but that one's a little smaller than. Yes, okay.
Okay. What do you have to do?
Well, 2, 3, and 4 are letters regarding the traffic safety, the driveway entrance from
Already did.
No, from the police chief, fire chief and DPW.
I got that.
Okay, that's part of, okay. Okay, okay, easements, easement, HOA documents. Easements,
By the way, HOA documents to be approved by the solicitor. I want to see them approved first.
Because that also includes the lot assignment.
the easement, the driveway easement. The easement agreement for the shared septic and wells.
There's no shared well, just.
That's
just
right.
But there's a well easement.
There's a well easement as far as the.
From
being
lot
on-
3 to
on
2.
yeah.
Yeah, 2.
Okay, so the well location easement, let's call it that to avoid confusion. The monitoring agent for the LMI unit. The approval of the septic system design by DEM. And the restrictions on resale for the low and moderate income housing unit. And the restriction for the 3 attainable units, which actually I have here. Jim wanted to provide this to you a while ago. We'll just provide it as part of
I want to
it.
see, I would like to see the documents that'll be reported,
Right, right.
which
This is just the-
summarizes all of that.
Exactly. But we have the outline here, so we will be submitting all of those for review. Good. By the solicitor.
Good.
And by the final approval.
Okay, I agree. Yep. So if we agree to all those conditions, Mr. Chairman, I think maybe we're ready to vote on the motion.
We need lot numbers. Bill, have you got lot numbers from Denise? Is it's, everything is lot 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I think it will, if you
Anyway.
had that for final, we will have lot numbers for
Yeah.
final. It's kind of premature to seek the lot numbers before you give us the preliminary approval.
Yeah, that would come a final.
Right. The meets and
Condition of
bounds,
a final, that's all.
Yeah, we'll see a meets and bounds with all that stuff. And then we'll see. That should do as a motion.
Wait,
So-
is that, you ready to vote?
I think we are ready to.
I am. Want to go?
Ready to go?
All right. Ready to vote?
Ready? Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Good,
Wait a
excellent.
minute. Who made the motion? Who seconded it?
You made the motion. Sal seconded it?
Yep.
So then the question of, next step is for the final, plan application and, approval.
And so the question then is this something to be done administratively without the need for a meeting? Or as the solicitor suggested, perhaps we have another final hearing?
You really don't have that situation. I recommend it come back.
Yeah, come back and.
And we'll hash out any comments about
Yeah.
these conditions.
I don't think there'll be.
I respectfully disagree.
I'm sure you do.
What you do. The law provides that the second and final stage review for the comprehensive permit project shall be done administratively unless an applicant has requested and been granted any waivers from the submission of checklist items for preliminary review. And then at the local board's discretion, it may vote to require the applicant to return. We provided you everything for preliminary. All the checklist items, even your multiple checklist items, and have a certificate of completeness and no indication of any missing items. So the law does not allow it. I understand that's a problem for Little Compton because you don't have a professional administrative officer. But will take us a little bit of time here to do this, but we are requesting that this be approved administratively pursuant to the general law.
Understood, but you know, as the solicitor, to me, given the structure of the government down here, the planning board really is operating as the administrative officer. So the administrative approval would come from the board. And I'm sure a special meeting can be had if it's not, if the timing isn't convenient. But one more meeting, I don't think is going to kill you.
It would not be a public meeting. I suspect that we would be sitting if we do this administratively. Without notice.
I've said my piece.
And there are conditions for the approval.
Yeah.
You'll please note my objection for the record, but I understand what you're saying.
No, choose.
I just think, planning board sitting in session as the administrative officer, which I think is what is being suggested, is a planning board meeting. It is not an administrative meeting.
It's not a public meeting. We could sit and we could do this anyway.
No, if you have a quorum,
It's not an administrative process.
it will be a public meeting. It won't be a public hearing.
We're sort of neither fish nor fowl here because we have no, as Andy said, we have. Unless we're going to delegate this administratively to the chairman to make all these decisions, and I don't think there's support around the table for that to happen. If you have another suggestion on how we should do this, I, for one, would be interested in creative approaches. But in a town like this,
I have a
staff.
But
I have a suggestion.
Yeah, sure. No, I'd be interested in your thinking.
Want to hear me?
Application was certified by one of your members, who I believe is your administrator.
I have a suggestion.
Wait, I want to hear this. Hear this.
It was Ed Bowen. That meeting was certified, so I would delegate it to that individual who certified our application, the completeness of our application. Yeah, that person was empowered to say the file is complete. We've provided all the necessary information. Who was there, the notes certified. I don't see why what we're talking about now can't be handled the same way.
Mike,
Yes.
I have a suggestion. The two of you meet with the documents and the town solicitor. We don't have to have a meeting. The two of you meet with the town solicitor. If all the documents are in place, the report is there, and the report's favorable, I have no problem.
I'd like to be there. I'd like to be there.
Well, be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's,
Well, Sheila, how do you feel?
Got a point. It was signed by you, Michael, on June 12th.
Right.
Did it help at all?
Well, the board can, I believe, Joe, this might be responsive, the board can delegate this next step to be handled administratively.
Yeah.
To a subgroup. No, I'm not inviting myself to the party.
I am. You were there.
But I think the authority does exist.
Oh, you don't have to have a meeting.
And the only time you'd have a meeting is if the subgroup felt that there was some issues that required everyone to be around the table. I don't anticipate that, but that would not be uncommon. I've seen that. I saw that in Pawtucket.
I don't have any problem.
So if Bob and you and I meet with Tony.
Perfect.
Well, that would be dependent on.
We have to vote for it.
Majority.
We have to vote.
Yeah,
No, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just, you have to be, it needs to be willingness first.
Yes, I'm not sure. Tony, get your willingness on this.
At this point, at
Wait,
9:50,
but no, but-
I'm going to agree to
No, but
anything.
I was not happy about this. I mean, this to me has to be unanimous. I don't want winners and losers. That's not fair.
Personally, there's a huge learning curve for me being part of this board and not being part of that discussion.
You want to be
I'd
part of
be,
it.
that I would lose out. There's so much, he's giving me this skeptical.
Come to the meeting.
It's just getting too, so I can step aside. No, so it could be
Let me make a suggestion.
Yes.
move that a subcommittee that's not a quorum of the planning board to be selected later, meet with the solicitor and the applicant for final plan approval. Okay?
I'm good with
Then you
that.
can figure it all out.
Okay, whoa.
Kick the can down the road about who's gonna be doing this.
Sit down.
So Joe, I think that does represent. It gets you at least half, we met in the middle.
3 people. All right, Tony, does that have to be like a motion on?
Yes, then yes.
The language.
Yeah. Language, so moved.
Seconded?
I second that.
All those in favor?
I say aye.
Excellent.
Sheila wants in, she can be.
You gotta make another motion.
Oh, please.
You know, leave her.
I make a motion that we adjourn. Is that all we have?
Second, sorry.
All in favor?
Dealers keep.
So right away. Right away.
Your commentary. and I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that's not.
Well, thank you for your traffic stuff tonight. I appreciate that.
No, it's.
We got our second.
Me too. It's about a. It's so many times that cars hit their brake. Right there.
You stuff not just down.
Right.
Can't see, you can't see.
Yeah.
And then it's like.
You take care of it.
Thanks. Nothing's changing, man.
I can't say how many complaints.
They complained when listen, when we paved it, the pavers down, our garden, we had a regulation.
Well, I'm sorry, my house.
It's off. It's bad.
So it is the right. Good seeing you.
Thank you very much. You need it.
Thank you.
I said.